Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS podcast, everyone. This is episode 181. We have just over a year since we've had this guest back, right? June of 2020.
Sounds right.
Right in the thick of everything.
Sounds right.
Got Ryan Newman back in the garage. Ryan, welcome back to the garage.
Glad to be here.
Last time you were on, we had Josh Bentley, which is one of our sponsors with Altadis USA. Also got Nate Hale here in the garage with us, and we have a pretty full house in the audience. So the second part might have some crowd participation. Also, we're looking for you guys on Facebook Live and YouTube Live to participate as well. So hope you guys take advantage of that. I'm going to go ahead and bring it up, and hopefully the volume is not up, which probably will be. Got it. So yeah, tonight we've got some special stuff. And before we get into what we are drinking and smoking, we want to get into a little bit real quick of the sponsors. So first and foremost is you guys, patreon.com/bourbon and BS podcast. You guys have been very supportive. We are working on getting those shirts up online so you guys can take advantage of that. And I will give you guys a code if I can, once we get that set up as Patreon members, to get a discount on those. That is a new part of it that we're working on with those fine people at Buy Jack out in St. Louis. So hopefully we'll get that all squared away in the next couple weeks for you. Also, we got $5 tier, $10 tier, and $25 tier that you guys can participate in, and we appreciate all that support. You guys have been absolutely amazing. It helps us do this great stuff and have you guys involved in it. It makes it worthwhile. Also, Tinderbox at Easton tonight. They are, by way of Altadis, they're helping us out with a second cigar. So both Tinderbox at Easton in Columbus, Ohio, and Altadis USA, we got the H. Upman Hispaniola by Jose Mendez. And but the featured cigar tonight is actually from Ryan.
Correct.
Ryan has a good friend that was able to secure some cigars for us tonight, which we'll go over here. But it is a very rare Fuente in the Opus X line. So we'll get into that here in a little bit. So thank you, Ryan, for bringing that, and to your friend as well. And then BS Cigar Company, we had some exciting news this week from BS Cigar Company. We had the gold is back in stock in all three sizes. So now we have a fully stocked with the BS Cigar Company, and it's exclusive to the Tinderbox at Easton, and actually where Ryan is the GM, Royale Cigar Lounge here on the west side of Columbus. So those are two locations right now that carry the BS Cigar Company line. So check either of them out, or also contact BS Cigar Company, or you can work through me in the podcast. We'll get you all hooked up that way. So exciting news. We're happy about it. I've smoked all three sizes of the gold since they came in yesterday, and they're smoking beautifully.
Excellent.
Fantastic. So, and yeah, we got some being smoked in the audience right now as well. So hopefully you guys can get your hands on it before we sell out. We already have another order in. So we've got about 4,000 of them right now, and we're hoping to get another 4,000 to 5,000 here in the next couple months. So appreciate you guys' support with that sponsor, BS Cigar Company, as well.
I think I smoked 2 or 3 of those yesterday.
Smoked 2 or 3? All three sizes?
Just Tauros from the box that got a little damaged thanks to our fine customs agents.
You know, it happens. So what are we drinking tonight? Ryan also brought a bottle. He's been a great guest so far, even before we got started, which I love.
So, you know, I don't know a whole lot about this distillery, but I brought the Old Elk Small Batch, batch number 3, and there's really not a whole lot about this particular batch. I had batch number 2, and it was fantastic. Batch number 3.
Start over, Ryan. Your mic was actually muted still from last week.
Wow. Are we good now?
Man.
Yeah, we're
Check,
good.
check,
we're,
check.
We're good now.
Okay, perfect.
Hopefully they picked you up.
Okay, excellent. So right now we've got the Old Elk Small Batch, batch number 3. It's bottled at 105 proof, it looks like. I haven't had this one in particular. I've had batch number 2, which I very much liked. So I'm looking forward to trying this one here in the garage.
Yes, when Steve texted me that you were bringing batch 3, I started looking it up online. Could not find anything about batch 3, and I'm like, man, maybe it was a typo and he meant batch 2. And then you're like, no, it just came out. So, all right, that works.
Everything else that I've seen up until last week was all batch number 2. So,
yeah,
I mean, I don't know. All right,
and while you pour a little bit, if you don't mind, I'm going to be sharing this. I encourage all you guys to do the same to any of your pages, your groups, or anything else, if you're enjoying it, or just keep watching and participate.
So, Ryan, you don't know where they're based out of or anything like that?
I think it's Colorado.
They are based out of
Nice.
Colorado.
Shoot some scores.
Got it.
Most of their stuff
1 out of
is
50
aged
chance,
a
man.
minimum of 5 years. This one happens to be, I missed that.
Can you pour me a glass? I said 1 out of 50 chance, and he nailed it. It's like throwing darts, man.
Thankfully.
Sunglasses. Yeah, I had to say it.
Yeah, it's the glasses.
It's the glasses.
Yeah, they're out of Colorado. Their master distiller has been in the industry for almost 40 years now. And their regular product is a weeded bourbon. That's what they're typically known for.
That's what I grabbed on accident the one time.
Yeah.
It's good.
And when I say weeded, I mean 51% corn, 45% wheat. So just enough corn to make it a bourbon,
Right.
but then a lot of wheat. This one, I believe each, because the actual full name of this is Old Elk Small Batch 3 Sour Mash Reserve, or Sour Mash Reserve Batch 3. It's a mouthful. But they, from what I understand, they actually do a different mash bill on the sour mashes than what they do their regular product. So this one will have a lot more malted barley, and it'll also have some rye. It won't have the wheat that their regular bourbon has.
There we go.
Does anyone look at the label here? Probably not.
Nope.
Cool.
I just brought it.
Well, then that's a big part of it, man. Just showing up to the game, and
That's it.
you bring your sneakers. Yeah, we got to swing the bat, Let's see. Old Elk Sour Mash Reserve is crafted with experience, passion, and zero compromises. Our distillers took our award-winning flagship high malt mash bill and began the journey to discover what would change if we experimented with a different yeast. Our travels resulted in the unique straight bourbon whiskey held in this bottle. The robust foundation that is our flagship high malt mash bill anchors the heady complexities from the unique yeast. The result is a 30-barrel small batch whiskey that transports you. We hope you sip. I do. It's small. Sip back, relax, and enjoy. Does it say sip? Is that a typo? Look at that thing.
It's probably a play on words.
I knew it was.
Okay, great.
That's nice. And then it says age 6 years, but it's different yeast. That's kind of cool.
It's got a really pleasant nose on it too. Just the smell in the glass.
Let me get in there.
Get your nose in there. Real deep, like.
This is gonna be a long episode.
Probably.
Like I get a lot of floral and rye notes in the nose, but it's not overwhelming. But I mean, it's pleasant. It doesn't come across like a very high proof whiskey.
No, it does not.
Like through the nose, it doesn't burn the nostrils.
I mean, 105 isn't really all that high, but
no.
I mean, it's got a really rich taste.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of oil.
A lot of oil.
Mm-hmm. Great viscosity.
And I think that's one of the reasons why I like this one so much is because that's one thing that I really do like when it comes to certain bourbons.
The mouthfeel.
Yeah, just that oiliness. For some reason, it almost makes it easier for me to drink.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you get a whiskey that has that thick texture, that viscosity, that oiliness to it, like that's going to tend to have a lot more flavor, and it's going to coat your palate. And so you're just going to taste it all over your mouth, and it's typically the finish is going to last a little bit longer with something like that too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that's really bright, crisp with a short finish. Like it's very deep, long-lasting finish.
But I think this does have a slightly bright taste.
I was going to say I get apple.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm getting apple right off the rip.
That. You know what I mean?
I'm getting apple on that.
I think it's got a really bright flavor, but it still has that viscosity that you're referring to. So I mean, it's a little different. So far, so good. Great
color. I love the marketing with Old Elk. It's always a great bottle, but the color on this is really.
So what have you tried from Old Elk thus far?
What do we have on that one episode? It was
episode 139. There was the Old Elk bar pick out of the Chicago area, I believe it was.
Okay.
Damn, I wish I was here for that
I was in the garage and remember tasting that bottle.
What'd you think?
Who was on that? I forget.
I'd have to go back and look. That was one of the earlier ones in terms of doing the ratings.
Okay.
So I don't even remember what the ratings were on that one. But yeah, the finish on this one, it's got kind of a
might have been age 8. Thanks.
It's got kind of a peppermint finish to it for me. Not like a really strong cinnamon, but just a peppermint that just kind of lasts and
Get
lasts.
that a little bit, yeah.
Like a little bit of sweetness, the apple you're talking about, the peppermint on the finish. Like it's a very complex whiskey. How much was this, Ryan?
$100.
Whew.
Jesus, thank you.
$100, absolutely.
If it was 30, thank you, but still $100.
Yeah.
So it says 6 years on there, right?
Yeah.
The age statement?
Yep.
Yeah.
On the back.
On the back. Let me look.
Middle of the label.
Oh, yeah, age 6 years. There it is.
Yeah.
It's the bold print. I'm looking up. Who is the master distiller on this? I forget.
Was it Greg Metzi?
Yeah.
Are you sure that's it?
Right there. He had a 38-year career at Seagram's Distillery in Lawrenceburg. Which is is that MGP?
Yeah, so even some of their
That's
early
what I
stuff,
thought.
like even their regular bourbon, is coming out of MGP.
Okay. And then the founder. Oh, that's right. This is the guy that was the founder and vision, yes, of Otter products, like Otter boxes and stuff like that. Yeah, he made a few bucks, I think, with that.
Still did all right.
Yeah,
He still did okay.
got enough to start a distillery when he wants to. I'm just like, it's bringing it back from that previous episode we had with Old Elk, but I do like it. I love the, like I said, the look of it. Very classic.
It's a beautiful bottle.
Yeah,
that cork too.
It goes really kind of well with the old diesel ashtray. Doesn't
It does.
Yeah. A little
Can I have
no?
Okay.
That's Steve's favorite
You can
ashtray.
use it. You can use it.
That is Steve's
Nah,
favorite
that's all right, I
ashtray.
don't
You
want
ain't getting it.
No, you don't want it. But yeah, it says small mash reserve straight bourbon whiskey on the front with the original. This is the Old Elk normal label, I believe, on the front.
Yeah, it's that secondary
Bottle's
label
very
on
cool.
the bottom.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I agree with you guys that it does. I mean, I said the apple, like it's kind of like that citrus up front, but it does have a little bit. I think, Nate said the peppermint or whatever. That's more for me, just kind of a
You said
the
peppermint?
heat. You said not
On the-
cinnamon
on
or
the
peppermint.
finish.
Peppermint.
Really?
On the finish, it's not like a really high heat and like a atomic fireball cinnamon candy. It's more like a peppermint where it's got that little mix of a little heat but a little sweetness as well on the finish.
See, but now you said that atomic fireball, I get more of that sensation.
Did you try some yet?
Smell apple on the nose? Well, yeah, a little bit, but I get it more in that up front.
I get
Right,
a lot
sip
of I
it.
get a lot of grain notes on the nose.
Todd, did you try it yet? You gotta try some of this.
Dustin just narrowed down the apple for us.
Granny Smith.
Granny Smith.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Well, that's good that you know that.
How many apple is it breeds? Yeah.
Breeds.
How many breeds of apples do you know? Yeah, like
Oh yeah, working
5,
at Kroger.
10, 15. At least sound like that.
Good for
I
you.
need you to write those down.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
Prove it.
Don't forget the Fiji apples.
Fuji.
That's a water.
Fuji. Dumbass. Okay.
know.
Good.
And islands also, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. I'm glad there's no mic out there live for you.
I know, right?
Make
So,
sure that one.
Ryan,
stays
I'll
on
say
you.
this before we kind of move on to the cigar, which is very special. But this bottle is obviously special too. This is going to be a rare one if they're doing batch by batch. So this is something that's not going to be readily available for anyone, let alone once this batch is gone. It said, 30 barrels? What did I say?
Oh, wow. Should I have bought more?
I mean, if you like it, yeah.
I do.
Where's this? Yeah, 30 barrels. So once they're through that 30 barrel batch or whatever, I assume we'll see a batch 4 if they're doing well with that product, whether or not they'll switch it up. But
Has anyone heard any feedback about maybe not the small batch in particular, but Old Elk as a whole for a distillery? Because I feel like it's one of those distilleries that it's just
move back a little bit.
Oh, yeah, let's move this back. I feel like it's one of those distilleries where it's just kind of under the radar a little bit.
Not everyone's tried it. Like, I mean, I'm sure the very big bourbon enthusiasts have at least experimented with it, picked it up, tried it at some of the if they have a share table, it's one of their meats or whatever. I would say I haven't seen it as readily available on the shelves in Ohio. It's starting to show up as what I see at some of my regular spots where I pick up some of my bottles. But yeah, I mean, this is something that I haven't seen the small batch like this.
Well, also in the state of Ohio, I believe the Old Elk, I'll double check OHLQ, but I think that's coming in at like $65.
The regular Old Elk?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's expensive. The wheated, it's about 65.
Got it.
And there's another one that's the 49-ish. But that's the least expensive bottle that I've seen in the state of Ohio is about 49.
Well, Jason Gamble out there says if you haven't tried their rye, definitely give it a try. I don't know if he's mean to be a poet without knowing it, but yeah, try that out. Ah, damn. Someone already called out that rhymes. All right. $100. That's it's not cheap.
Yeah, they have the Old Elk Signature, which is blended at $50. Old Elk Sour Mash Reserve is $90. The Barrel Select is $55. The Rye is $80.
Okay.
That's just what's available in the state of Ohio.
All right. We'll come back to that. I'm going to sip on it a little bit more. If you guys have any feedback on Old Elk in general, like Jason Gamble out there, let us know. You don't have to rhyme it when you give us the feedback. If you want to rhyme it, that would be even better.
Can they win something for rhyming? The best rhyme at the end of the night wins something? Like a rap. You know what I mean?
Like you're going to rap for them?
No.
Like a personal? You get a personal phone call from Ryan Newman.
Here we go.
Where he will rap.
I'm not rap
for you.
Thank you. We have a beatboxer here too, just in case.
And I will record it.
Excellent.
We'll post it after the personal phone call. So everyone wins. All right, let's talk about this cigar here before we go too far off the path here, which I assume might happen. Ryan, you brought, this is a very unique and rare cigar. This is from Fuente, which these days, any Fuente is rare just because of the supply chain.
Correct. It is from Fuente, but by way of Prometheus.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a part of their Heaven and Earth series. This is called Taurus the Bull. It's the one that comes with the purple footband. It's pricey, and it's very, very hard to come by. So in order to qualify to get this from Prometheus, you have to have X amount of facings from a lot of their high-end stuff, and you have to do X amount of dollars with them in order to qualify for it as a retailer. So because of that, it's something that I just don't have in store all the time. So I was able to get a connection that they were able to get me a few. And so far,
have you smoked one before tonight?
I smoked the BBMF,
which stands for
Big Bad Motherfucker.
Okay, that's what I thought it stood for.
There it is. And then I smoked the Purple Rain, which is the 888 size. So those that are familiar with the Fuente sizes and añejos that come out every year, the 888 is more like that's like skinny lawns there with a torpedo cap.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's very unique, I think, right? It's
that's
kind
my favorite
in
size.
Between like a Lonsdale and Lancero.
Yeah.
It's kind of, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was, so I'm not as familiar with this. So this is something as Ryan has explained a little bit. Prometheus is the one that almost distributes this, if you will.
Correct.
Fuente makes it.
Yep. It's
a high-end thing from them. Just for example, do you know what the price tag on this is?
It says the MSRP is around $75.80. Okay, but really, it's if you look online, if you're gonna buy it on any site, you're getting charged $125 a stick.
Yeah, so this is similar to the bourbon industry that we talk about a lot of times as far as secondary, because this is a rare thing. However, this is something that MSRP from Fuente on their site, I believe, or this is from FuenteAgedSelection.com, but it's a 10 count limited edition humidor that these come in. Is that
correct?
Is that what your connection was able to get his hands on?
And they're beautiful.
They are beautiful.
The colors are, they pop.
This comes in a yellow and blue.
Yep.
Travel humidor, but it's a badass one. It's all basically wood, so I don't know why it's travel other than it's a 10 count.
Yeah.
But the MSRP for it is $600, $60 a cigar.
Okay.
So that's what this is saying. And then it has a link to authorized retailers for purchase. So the Heaven and Earth is basically so for those that are into astrology, this is something that Arturo was, what does it say? Arturo was a
Greek
Scorpio.
Well,
No, he was.
Greek mythology.
All right. He was Scorpio. So grandfather was born on November 18th. It was Scorpio. And it says, perhaps not by chance, this was also the date the very first boxes of Fuente Opus X were shipped to America. But next to the Scorpio is another symbol, Taurus, the bull. And that is the astrological sign that both Carlito and Don Carlos they have that sign. So that's where this name comes from. They used a little bit of a change of the spelling on that. But as it says here, and it's one of those things, it's indeed the stars were aligned when Chateau de la Fuente was created. But this is something that you said, the Heaven and Earth series. It's very cool. I mean, this is something that, not everyone can definitely get their hands on. I don't even know what the overall production levels of this are.
I know it's not very high. And I think
no,
they
certainly
do it.
not.
I think they do it. I don't know if it's once a quarter or if it's once a year. I think it comes out around the same time that the Oscuro set comes out.
Yeah.
The same time that the help me out here, the Opus 22 set comes out. I think they all kind of fall in line around the same time as when they're released. But as far as production level, I have no idea. I mean, there's not a whole lot of information released on this. The blend itself is actually undisclosed. So I tried to find everything that I can about it, but there's not much on it really. So
yeah, the band obviously is amazing. This is from what country are these from? I forget. It's over in Europe.
Oh, I thought you meant
the bands. No,
the bands.
This is one of those the bands. Like the bands themselves,
yeah.
I would say, if you were to start your own company to make cigars and you wanted to get bands made by this, you're looking at basically $1 a band.
Yeah,
which doesn't sound like much to everyone, but
expensive.
They're very intricate, definitely high end. The embossment is insane. The band itself is a work of art, which is really cool.
Even the back of the band. I mean, it has
the embossment is so thick.
It's so thick that you can see all the little detail on the back.
Yeah,
and it's beautiful.
Yeah, all the markings and everything on the band are raised, so that's why you can see it on the back. You slide up, there you go.
So and they use obviously this overseas because there's that certain kind of gold that you can't use in the U.S. You can't produce in the U.S. Which is
you can bring it back to the U.S.
Correct, yeah. But the printers here can't use this certain type of gold on there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But so right off the rip, I'm going to be that guy. This is something that it's very unique. The richness and the way that this is a smooth cigar. This immediately reminds me of. And I'm going to be that guy. I hate being that guy.
Let's hear it.
This reminds me of a well-aged, probably either that Cohiba Maduro number 5.
Stop it.
I'm telling you.
Stop it.
I can't compare this to anything else on the American market.
I'd say another Fuente product.
Which one?
For me, maybe like the Añejo.
No, the Añejo I think is a little more bitey than this.
Well, it's broadleaf. Yeah, it's broadleaf,
yeah.
Right? And I think they might be using a little bit higher priming tobaccos in the filler because this is smooth as silk. There's not a whole lot of strength to it. I mean, I've even kind of been bringing it back and inhaling it a little bit, and there's not much to it. I mean, it's a really dark looking cigar. It looks like it's going to be a powerhouse, but it's surprisingly not.
I'm actually very surprised on the flavor of the cigar because I was dry drawing when you first gave it to us, and I got a little bit of spice and espresso.
I can see espresso
when I was drawing on it, but I'm not getting that when I actually smoke it. But I remember, before we went live, I was sitting there going, "Oh my gosh, this cigar has amazing flavor," and I haven't even lit it up yet.
What are your thoughts now? Okay,
go ahead. Finish that.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have those dark espresso or chocolate notes that I was expecting to get based on the pre-light draws. And I definitely don't get the spice that I was pre-light as well. But it does have a pleasant flavor. I'm just actually really surprised. Ray, dry drawing is when you draw before you've actually put fire to the cigar.
Cold draw, some people call it.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Same thing.
All right, Ryan. So,
sir,
You hate the fact, and I told you, I even said it before you did. I hate being that guy.
Yeah.
Because I'm not normally that guy. However, what would you, since this is undisclosed, what are you thinking as far as the makeup of this? Because you're pretty good at this, and I mean,
yeah,
it's hard. You're not going to know if you're right, but I'm just curious what you would think, starting with the wrapper, because you've got a very nice. I would say this is between, if you're going to just go with the terms of shades, if you agree with me or not, either of you guys, but it's between Maduro and Oscuro.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know what you would qualify that as. I'm sure Fuente, if they were doing it, it'd be the Oscuro, in my opinion.
Sure.
Especially if it's not a broadleaf wrapper.
I don't think this is broadleaf.
What do you think it is?
I'm thinking Habano Oscuro. Maybe a Dominican Habano Oscuro. I don't know if this is coming directly from. I don't know what they're doing with this blend. They keep it so proprietary, and it's not like they're saying it's a undisclosed.
It's tough.
It's an undisclosed blend, but it's all Fuente tobacco. Well, that can kind of limit it down to where at least
they're saying it's all Fuente tobacco.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
They're not saying anything about it. It gives nothing. So that could be.
I'm not going to be rude, but I'm going to look and see if there's any. I mean,
Go ahead.
While you're talking,
I don't really think it's Connecticut broadleaf. Now, the reason why I say that is because I don't get that. I don't know. It doesn't have that feel to it. Broadleaf has a specific type of feel. That's why my guess would be, I don't know if it's Dominican grown, but just a Habano Oscuro wrapper.
Yeah,
I think this is a true Oscuro wrapper. This is. I mean, there's no cooking, no dyeing. We know that there are some companies that do that to help speed up the process.
We would hope not.
But I think this is truly just a true Habano Oscuro. If not, I mean. It just doesn't. Weird. It just doesn't feel like broadleaf. So, it doesn't taste. I don't know.
Atlantic Cigar has color Colorado, which I completely disagree with.
No.
So that might just be. It says even Maduro on here, but they might be talking about the natural.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a natural and a Maduro to this.
They say this is a 6x62.
Also wrong.
Yeah. So and this says 2016. For frame of reference for you guys, remember I said it was $600 when on that site as far as the MSRP. Online, right here, you're over $1,000. For the box of 10.
Oh, 1,050?
Yeah, 1050.
1050 for a box of 10. So, yeah, I mean, they are expensive. There's a secondary price to it because there are guys that are willing to pay. I mean, I've seen guys pay up to $200-300 for these. I don't understand it. I mean, I think it's a great cigar, but I don't see the infatuation with it to spend that kind of money on a cigar. That's just me.
When you're right, they're released 2 times a year, spring and fall.
Okay.
And they're presented through Prometheus humidors. We get that asked a lot at Tinderbox at Easton. That's do you guys carry Got a Fire? Do you carry this? And those are all the Prometheus ones. It's tough to explain that you have to work through a different distributor for that as opposed to JC Newman Fuente.
Correct.
The cool part about this though, also, and I think I don't know if we talked about it a whole lot with the JC Newman family and the Fuente family, but. Portion of the sales for this cigar does go to the Cigar Family and Charitable Foundation, which strives to improve underprivileged children's lives in Dominican Republic, which is really cool.
Very cool.
And they've been big on that. So if you guys, the documentary Hand Rolled, if you guys check that out, they go a little bit into that as far as what those 2 families have done for building schools and things like that, much like the Aroa family's done in Honduras, much like a lot of the families. I'm not going to single those few out, but
sure.
I mean, very big in their home countries as far as giving back to the communities. But this is a product that, as a rare product, it goes directly to a portion of the proceeds to go to that. So that's really kind of neat to see.
Absolutely.
But it is tough to find. I'm just scanning through here what we have out there. But if you guys do a search for this, you may luck out and find it. Here's a single for $125 on it.
Or just come to me. I've got a few more boxes.
Royale?
Yeah.
So you are selling it at the shop. That's the lounge. That's awesome. So yeah, check him out. Is it still Ryan D. Newman?
Yep. Ryan D. Newman.
Ryan D. Newman on Instagram or Royale Cigar Lounge. It's what's the actual mail? Is Columbus mailing address?
Yeah.
So Columbus mailing address. So check it out. Or just reach out to the podcast if you'd like as well, and I'll hook you guys up if you guys are looking to try some of these. What is your price on this? Can I ask?
120.
120.
Yep.
So that's in line. I mean, that's $5 cheaper than the one I just pulled up online.
It is, and again, because there's still a cost to them, right? I mean, I'm getting charged slightly more than MSRP, slightly more than MSRP in order to make your money back. You got to price it a little bit higher, and it's almost like the whole BS Gold situation, right? Like
You're in business to make money?
Yeah, I'm in business to make money. Sorry.
It's fucking foreign concept.
Yeah.
Well, we saw that a little bit when we were in Louisville at one of the liquor stores. Like there was a cart of bottles that were priced way higher than they should be, but they actually had a sign on that cart that said we had to acquire these at higher than retail prices in order to have them available to customers. So that's why the prices are higher than what retail is, because we had to buy them from someone, and now we're trying to sell them to you guys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. So for comparison, if someone can't get their hands on it, you hated I did the Cohiba Maduro No. 5 flavor a little bit to it. I was going to say, because I just smoked, it's not as say deep, but like the Partagas Maduro No. 1s, which I know you've smoked.
Yep.
One or both.
I would probably agree more along the lines of the Partagas. Yeah. But
it is a good smoke, yeah. But how about on the American market? What would you?
Tough, man. Like I said, I want to say the Añejo. To me, I can see things that are in between it. I get a little bit of the Fuente Añejo that comes out every year. I almost get a little bit of the. Now this is going to be way out in left field, more than what you were. Was the La Imperiosa from Crown Heads? That deep, rich flavor, not a whole lot of spice to it. I think it's got a little bit to it,
yeah,
but not a whole lot. It just has a very pleasant.
I know what you're talking about.
It's almost like a cross between, right? I can't find anything where it's one particular product and it says, "Yep, that's the one." I can compare it to that because it's really unique. Yeah. I can see how it has similarities to certain things in the American market, but I can't just pinpoint it to one particular project.
They're calling you out that you're almost halfway through that. They're saying, does it smoke fast? I don't think it smokes very quickly.
Is that Ray Cheshire?
Well, Ray is, and also Sean Anderson.
No, I think I'm smoking. Well, where are you at?
I lit mine up a little bit before you guys.
Not really. That's it. So Nate's a little bit ahead of me. I don't think it smokes fast. I think the tobacco's actually rather slow burning. I think we just smoke a little bit faster than some people.
Well, Ryan also, I mean, when you're taking draws, if I have noticed, you take.
I take about three.
That's
three
puffs. And I do that as well. A lot of times, not as much on the podcast, but I mean that is going to make it go a little bit quicker. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it also produces a lot more smoke because if you let it sit while you're talking or whatever, the first puff isn't going to be as much of it because it's kind of heating back up. Yeah. And by the third quick puff, you're getting a lot of smoke.
It's like those first couple puffs are just reigniting all the tobacco.
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
We got MS in the building. There we go. What's up, Matt?
Matt Smith out
there.
Matt
Smith, that's my boy.
That's your boy, Blue?
That's my boy, Blue. He's the video guy.
MS Visuals.
Yeah, MS Visuals.
Nice.
That's him. So
what's up, Matt? Have I met Matt?
I don't think so.
Your boy Blue?
No, my boy Blue. I don't think so.
His work though, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
MS Visuals.
Go to MS Visuals for sure. Not to promote him, but absolutely. Matt, if you're hearing this, there you go. Well, come on out, Matt. Come out to the garage if you're free. Come on out. Studio audience.
Not tonight though. Just kidding. Yeah, definitely if he's around.
Yeah, if you're around, man, come on out. Yeah,
bring a chair. I got more chairs. I got more chairs. Sit in the car.
Sit in the car.
So yeah, Ray's saying, so like just talk about this a little bit. So we've got a bottle of whiskey that's $100. You said MSRP, at least in Ohio, it's $100. Mm-hmm. We're smoking these cigars. MSRP is $60. Now keep in mind, Ray's out there saying $120, what he's calling a 30-minute smoke.
Get the fuck out.
All right. We've already been smoking this cigar for over 30 minutes.
33 minutes.
And I'm not even halfway done. So
33 minutes on the video feed. So he says too rich for me. That's bullshit. Ray, you've got plenty of money. It's something that this is where you're getting to that point where MSRP is 60. I think it brings up something that, there is something to be said with the comparison. We've talked about it, but we haven't featured as many cigars where there is a secondary market.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I've said this before with the bourbon industry. It's behind. It's like it's past the infancy stage, but this whole secondary craze and all this stuff is well behind the cigar craze. So during the cigar boom, and you had just basic Opus. I see basic Opus X from Fuente. And when I say basic, just some of the core line that comes out, and the Añejos. You'll see it on the shelf because once it's wholesaled to the retailer, a lot of these are contract cigars. So to explain to you guys, contract cigars, you cannot sell for less than what they require you to at least charge.
That's correct.
That is just to get it to a point where there's not going to be someone that is pushing the market down. So a lot of them are like, some will be like, you can't sell it below MSRP. Some of it's like you can sell it like 10%, and that allows you to do box discounts and such like that. For those of you out there, it's not just so someone can undercut on a single cigar. It's more in the effect that if you give regular discount, military, fire, police discounts, if you give box discounts, you have locker members, according to the contract, you can discount it so much, which is typically like 10%. But with Fuente, during that cigar boom and after, the Opus line, the Añejo line, obviously some of the stuff through Prometheus as it was developed, retailers are selling this stuff for way over MSRP because they can.
Mm-hmm.
And so it brings up a good point, actually, with Ray out there saying, it's too expensive. However, there are cigars that are more expensive retail. Like Davidoff, I know, has some cigars that are MSRP $500.
Yep.
Gurkha has a $2,000 cigar.
They got $1 million cigar now.
Do they have $1 million?
They have $1 million cigar.
Well, that's dumb.
It's stupid.
But my point is that, yes, this is definitely a treat. This is something that, Ryan's not selling day in, day out to anyone that walks in the door.
No.
However, there are buyers for it. There are groups. When, you think about this, sometimes, people that buy this, they either have, what $120 is basically equivalent to $12 to some people, right? So it's all about that scale of income of where you're at as far as the finances go. Also, if you're out impressing clients, there's still that kind of business out there in the cigar world.
100%.
Right? It's the same people that go into a bar and they're like, "Hey, what pappy do you have?"
Yeah,
I don't know if they talk like that, but I imagine
it sounds right.
most of them are like, "Hey, what pappy do you have?"
It sounds right.
Right? That sounds like a businessman.
Yeah.
I used to be a businessman.
You're still a businessman.
Yeah. Well, anyways, my point is, they're like, "Oh yeah, it's $150 for a 1 ounce pour," and they're like, "Hey, give us 6."
Okay.
Chances are they're not paying for it.
No.
The company's paying.
Paying for that.
So there's ways to do it, but I agree with you, Ray. This is not a cigar that I would go into Ryan's place and be like, "Let me get 4."
It's funny though, because
I'll just host a podcast and have him on it, and then he'll bring it to me for free.
I had a good buddy of mine
right there.
That's
right,
a
long game.
I like that. I had a good buddy of mine, a client of mine that came in, and he's like, "I want to see everything you got. I want to see all the sizes," and he ended up leaving with 2 boxes.
Oh,
these. Well, different sizes within this heaven and earth line. Yeah, the series. But he that's probably somebody that will also, they're going to keep it, they're going to collect it, they're going to give it out to their friends and family during special occasions, and they might maybe make a little bit of money in the secondary market, because there are guys and girls that, believe it or not, will pay even more than $120 a stick. They might pay $200 or $300. Like, it's ridiculous. There are Facebook groups. Granted, they're kind of under the radar because they're selling tobacco products. But
right.
I'm in some of these groups where, you see that they get their hands on these products and they're selling them for $225, $300 a stick, and people are bidding on it all day long. It doesn't make any sense to me. I personally,
collectors.
Sure, collectors. But
I think it's a collector game.
I don't see the value in burning up $300 personally. But there are people out there.
It's always worth, especially on the secondary market. Collectors, we have a friend of ours that is now buying and selling trading cards.
Yeah,
and they were able to secure I believe it was a 1-of-1. It was a Patrick Mahomes rookie that had a piece of his jersey,
jersey card.
Over $4 million.
What?
No.
It was.
We should.
No.
Let's not even say it.
No, we're not gonna say it. So, but yeah, it was basically they secured it for $4 million. Not only is it to collect it, but they are also doing it from a business standpoint. That you look at something like that, it's like a wine of a good year. You either do it so you can drink it, and enjoy yourself, or sometimes you're gonna sell it to an auction site or something like that, right? When the value goes up or peaks. Something like that is where I see this, is that you buy a card, which I think is insane because it's purely,
but $4 million.
It's purely a piece of corrugated paper, right? Cardstock, basically, that has digital printing on it, regular ink. Nothing valuable about the ink. Nothing valuable about the paper.
Okay,
pretty positive. it's the fact that it's so rare, and the collectors will spend that. And I think the hope is that you have a $4 million card, and it's all a percentage game, right? So Patrick Mahomes continues to go out, win Super Bowls, does amazingly well, and hopefully the value of all this stuff goes up. They make money. You think about it, if it doubles in value, you invested $4 million, but you made $4 million, right?
I guess
someday that's worth $10 million on at an auction or whatever.
It's the same thing with classic cars.
To have it,
it's the same thing with classic cars. People buy an old car, and who knows, in 10 years.
At least that can get you from point A to point B. That
they're
car
not
just
driving
sits
them.
there.
They're not driving them. Like,
I'm just saying functionality. I think it's more absurd. Like a card, you fucking look at it.
I don't.
You're not gonna look at it.
I used to collect trading cards. I used to have a lot of.
I get it.
I've seen people I've seen people that have because of who they were and the connections they had, they were able to get a brand new car that by the contract they're not allowed to resell it for at least 2 years. 2 years comes up, they resell that car. That car has got less than 100 miles. Like they're not I mean,
I understand. I'm saying,
but they're doing it as an
functionality of the product. A car, if running, will move you, even if it's 5 feet. That card will not move you an inch. It literally just sits there. You can't. You can eat it. I mean,
Did
it's
you really
not going to
say
be.
Eat it? You could have said anything else.
What are you going to do with a card? Wipe your ass with it?
You put it somewhere.
It's in that plexiglass or whatever.
I'm
yes. I'm sorry. He said put a $4 million card in your bicycle
You just
tire.
have beyond fuck you money, and I'm like, I'll give you $5 for it. Thanks. And then you walk outside, get on your Huffy, fucking put in the spokes, and just flip the dude off on your way out.
Oh man.
My point is a car at least can get
great.
you somewhere. This, a cigar or wine.
A trading card.
No, you can smoke this and enjoy it. That's what I'm saying.
All right. That's fair. That's
Jesus.
fair. Oh, that was good.
How's the construction on that thing?
Yeah, the
We had a
construction's
question about
great.
construction in the garage.
Yeah, if there's anybody asking about construction, if you can see mine from the feed here, it's the ash is holding up. I touched it up a couple times, just because I'm kind of specific about the ash line. But it's burning well. It's not having to be relit at all. As far as me like it going out, it's great. So far, so good. We'll see.
Yeah, I've touched mine up. I don't think I've had to relight it except for the very beginning, but that was just because I had it down for a very long time. And I ash a lot. So Ryan is one that especially when he's enjoying a cigar, he wants to see the construction, and I can appreciate it. Is that if you can see it on camera there, kind of hold it forward there without dropping it. But you can see that is from the initial light. So clearly the construction, as far as that goes, some will argue or debate that, holding an ash on the cigar as you smoke it, it shows great construction, a great filler construction, especially the fact that you've got a binder that's holding it all together, which is the first part. I mean, obviously the wrapper's on the outside, but you have that. But it's the fact that you have a draw, but you look at it, and when I did a cold draw, I thought it might be a little bit too tight. I told Ryan that before we went on, and I've not had to cut down any further. It still looks like that, but it's got a nice firm draw.
Yeah, it
which
does.
I think goes along with that when you guys are smoking these things. A lot of times when it's got a really easy or airy draw, you're going to have some flaky ash, just because I think that's sometimes how it goes.
Yep.
Firmer draw, it's a kind of one of those dangerous games where you don't know if it's going to just be plugged at some point or if it's truly going to have a good draw because of the level roller that they're having on it.
I'll give it a small glass. Small glass, just a nip. It's good.
You get another there.
Yeah, I'm gonna do. I was only gonna do one, but I'm gonna do
Yeah,
one.
it's still early.
It's still early. Let's get it.
So anyone out there, before we get into the ratings of this, if anyone has any questions about the Opus, one of the audience, Bob, says it's also signed. So that card that we're talking about is also signed.
Yeah, I saw
But then
that.
Sean brings up a good point. Like, there are people that spend millions of dollars on a Picasso or Monet or something like that just to hang on the wall and stare at.
All right. I'll take that one.
That's true.
I'll field that question.
I want to get into collecting art, by the way.
It's cool,
that's
but
something I want
if
to
you
do.
all right, will you spend millions for a print of a Picasso? Because I'm pretty sure,
But
the picture and stats of Patrick Mahomes was not hand done by an artist.
no, but it was hand signed by him.
Okay.
The man himself. The
I'm just
the
saying
$4 million.
Picasso's was probably signed as well, but he also created the whole thing by hand.
That's true.
I know that's true.
That's a good point. Is what I mean.
Well, I mean, I could
It's a good point,
put
is what I meant.
together on
My God.
on my MacBook over here. I could probably put together a little trading card of Patrick Mahomes. Print it
Oh
off
my
for
God. Really? I'll buy it. $10.
$1 million.
No, get out of here.
I'll
$10.
sign it for you.
No, he'll
$5.
he'll trade you that
Get on
Range
the mic
Rover
there.
for it.
Get on the mic there, if you will.
Oh, here we go.
Live
It's gonna be a
now.
trading card. Go ahead.
Yeah, just like that.
So like the interesting, at least to me, because I collect some cards. I just recently bought a
You turn them up a little bit there.
Antetokounmpo card after or actually during the win they were having in the finals. But
What was it? Who was it?
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah.
He's on the Milwaukee Bucks.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that last name, please?
Antetokounmpo.
Okay, thank you.
So basically, the interesting part of it is because like you're trusting or you're putting your belief into somebody's performance for the card price to go up through time.
Yeah.
So
No, I get it, but it's also a commentary on us as a society.
Thank you.
I don't know if it's a good one or a bad thing. I have my
Thank
opinions
you.
of it, but I don't have the money to buy it, so obviously I'm doing something wrong. I will have a little bit more of that whiskey though, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
All right. Any other questions from the audience in the garage or anyone else on the feed? That'd be great to hear from you.
This is really holding up. I'm getting to the second band now. The first one is the band that says 2016. The second is your classic Opus label.
That's a little different.
I mean, it is different.
There's a lot of black in that
Lot of
label that's not in the regular Opus line label.
Correct.
Thank
but it is.
you, Nate. But it's got the Opus X. It is black. It does say Forbidden X on the side somewhere. So, but it's holding up really well. My guess, by the way, it's holding up, and I'm holding it down. It's going to go the entire way without me having to ash it one time. So a lot of people find that they find that important in smoking a cigar. Everyone smokes for a different reason, and some people prefer to have a really good construction. That's why when I smoke something like this for the first time, I kind of just give it a good test drive. I see how the flavor is. I see how the construction is. I see how it holds up without me smoking it for a while. I try to do everything I can to kind of give it a good run to see. That way I can give it a fair review. And I like it so far.
I really am enjoying the retrohale on it.
What are you getting on the retro?
That's what I'm trying to place. I got what Ryan was saying about the La Imperiosa. I just smoked a double Robusto. They just landed again, which is good. Nice. But that one, it's a more punchy, more in your face than this. This is. I don't know if it's the age of the tobacco that they're using here. I don't know if it's the blend. I'm really trying to place it. This does not taste like a Fuente product.
So can we get your input on what you think the wrapper is? Obviously, we're gonna know the filler is something from the Dominican Republic. It's from the Fuente farms and the factories. We know that. I don't know why they put why they disclosed that, because it's going to be pretty obvious. But as far as the wrapper, what do you think?
Wrapper's tough. So the reason I was comparing it right off the rip to those two Cuban lines,
okay.
And I'm not stating that they are using Cuban tobacco. They could, if they wanted to, not legally, but no one checks it. So there you go. I'm pretty sure they have some connections there.
I think so.
But it's got that little bit of sweetness on my tongue. Like right up the kind of towards the front, I've got a little bit of that salty sweetness that I get from a Maduro Cuban cigar. That's why it really drew me to that, because I don't get that as much with a lot of Dominican tobacco, first and foremost. But the wrapper,
come on, give me something.
Well, first, do you think the wrapper's Dominican or not? Because that's one of the things that Fuente's always prided themselves on with the Opus, is that it's all from their farm.
I know. So chances are, yes.
But they're not going to disclose the seed strain. They're not going to disclose.
Which is why I'm curious about what it would be.
I think Dominican Habano. A Dominican Habano Oscuro.
Is that what the Oscuro line is? The
hell if I know. I don't know. I don't know if they disclose that one.
It's funny. We're all big cigar guys, but I mean, we appreciate Fuente, but that's not typically our go-to brand.
Well, and not only is it, I mean, so for me, I'm a huge Fuente I'm a Fuente geek when it comes to a lot of their high-end line, and there's stuff that's tough to find, but they do a really good job of keeping their blends proprietary. They keep it to themselves, and I don't know if it's to keep the people that smoke their product intrigued or what. I don't know why the reason is, but they do a really good job of that, and I think they do that for a lot of their higher end lines. They just don't release what the genetic makeup is.
I'm gonna say Criollo.
I like that, but I don't think so, because I don't think
I like that, but you're wrong, and here's why.
But I didn't say that.
That's what I heard.
But I think you're wrong.
Yeah, because you think it's Habano.
I think he's wrong.
They couldn't hear you say that louder.
I think he's wrong. I think he's wrong.
Don't eat the mic.
Oh, there we go.
So it fell. It fell, and it fell on camera. Great.
Well, I mean, it's all on camera. Do you need to clean that up?
No, you got it.
Grab your cigar, Ryan.
Right on the old lap. It was all on the table, at least. That's good.
Yeah, that's nice.
I blame you mainly, but partially me for. You think I'm wrong. I think that was a sign, probably karma, or the fact that I'm right, that the gods of this tobacco.
Heaven and earth.
There we go. There we
All
go.
coming full circle.
Good God.
Thanks, Nate.
Oh, Lord.
Thanks for your help.
Let's see if I can get this guy back here. So yeah, let's go to the ratings here. I'm trying to get the mouse back here. Boop boop boop.
I say just trade out that power cell I have of yours.
No, I got it.
All right.
So let's do the ratings here. So at the end of part one, and if you guys have any other questions about the cigar or the whiskey here, feel free to shoot them on the screen here on the Facebook feed. So out of 10, were we doing this last time you were here?
No.
Brian?
No, this is new to me.
So this is something that we added at some point in the last year. Out clearly.
When were you last on?
June,
about a year ago.
June 20th, I think it was.
Over a year ago.
Yeah.
That was, yeah, because we started doing the ratings right after we stopped doing it in the garage initially when COVID first hit.
Not sure, but Ryan, as a refresher, then.
Okay.
So we do out of 10. It's going to be 10 being the best. You're going to give 3 ratings. One for the Old Elk, small batch number 3.
Sure.
Right. Which again, thank you very much for bringing that.
Of course.
And then
Happy to do so.
Out of 10, the Fuente Heaven and Earth series Opus X Tauros the Bull Maduro. And then also a third rating would be the pairing out of 10, 10 being the best. So you're going to give 3 ratings.
All right, that's cool. So for the Old Elk, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Reason why it's an 8, I love it. I think it's a fantastic product. I think the flavor's there. I don't like anything too high proof. So for me, it's right in my wheelhouse. It's the price tag. It's the $100 price tag. Do I think it's worth $100? Not necessarily. I think it's a great bottle. It's a great bottle, and for those that can afford to spend $100 on a bottle, absolutely go buy it because I love the flavor. But it's tough for me to give it a 10 at $100, knowing what's beneath $100 and what's available.
Comparable market.
Yeah. So for me, that's why it's tough to give it a 10. I think flavor-wise, if we're just going to talk that, honestly, I mean, if the price was not an issue at all, I would give it a 10. But because of that, I'm going to drop it down a little bit. The cigar, very much the same thing. I'm going to give it an 8 because it's an amazing cigar. It's rich. It's complex. It's got it's everything that I'm looking for in a medium to medium full-bodied smoke. It's got the flavors that I like. It's got a great construction. Everything is great with it. But again, other than the price tag, it's especially if you're paying a secondary price. I'm not going to spend $125 on it.
Would you spend $60 MSRP from what I saw?
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
it's
think,
all relative, right?
So
You know
it
what I
is. So if you can find this, which good luck finding
You're
it.
not going to.
Yeah, you're not going to at 60 or 65, whatever the suggested MSRP was. But if it was at that price, give it a 10. Because I think these are one of the very few cigars that I've smoked that's worth that price tag. To me, 35-ish, $40. You're talking Padron anniversary, Davidoff, prices. I think this is amazing for that price tag. But once you get to that $100 price tag, for me, it's hard to justify anything for that price tag. But again, it's a great smoke. It's unique. It's rich. It's hard to find something that's comparable to this.
Right.
And I think it's an amazing cigar. Fuente did an amazing job with this product, and hats off to them for that. But I just can't justify that secondary pricing.
So what was your rating on the cigar?
8 and 8. But as a pairing, I would give it a 10. Because I think they both go really well together.
Yeah.
I think if you have both of these, if you have this is what you're drinking for the evening and this is what you're smoking, I think they go perfectly well together. They don't compete each other. They don't clash. I think the strength is perfect for the 105 proof with the Old Elk. I think the flavors go really well together. This has got some sweetness. So does this. I think they both just complement each other really well. So for the pairing, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah. Nice. Nate, how about you?
So I'm pretty similar to Ryan because, like, for the cigar and the whiskey, based on the flavor, the quality, the construction of the cigar, like just based on the products themselves, I want to give them a 9. But bringing the $100 price point, or even if this cigar was a $60 cigar, I would still not buy this. That's just not who I am. I'm not someone who's going to drop $60 on a cigar. I'll drop $60 on a bottle, but not necessarily a cigar. So on the whiskey and the cigar, I'm an 8 on each. I'd be a 9 if they weren't $100 a piece.
Sure.
And then on the pairing, I give the pairing a 9. I'd be curious as to what this would taste like or how it would pair with something else that was rich, but maybe a little bit less proof, that didn't have that little heat on the back end of it, like an Old Forester 1910.
Okay, there we go. I like that bottle too.
Yeah, I love that bottle.
Yeah.
So something that's got that thick texture, that little bit of sweetness like this has in it, but maybe not quite the burn on the back end.
Okay, that's fair. Steve?
So, take a sip of this whiskey here.
There we go.
So if I was at a bar and say this was for a pour of it, what do you like? $15, $17 probably.
Yeah.
At like a normal, I'm not talking about like a dive bar necessarily, but I'm talking about like one that does like some nice high-end cocktails, a bourbon bar or whatever. I'd say this would fall into if it was $20, maybe, I don't know. I'll take, go ahead.
No, I was going to say with the price of this bottle, I would think a pour would be more along that $25 to $30 range for a pour.
Here's the issue, though.
I charge 20, by the way. That's what that means.
You charge 20.
Yeah. So
okay.
Just to put
I was saying 17. So you're in that.
Okay.
The difference is with this is yes, it's a small batch. You can do it at a bourbon bar. You're not a bourbon bar necessarily with the lounge. I mean, you've got bourbon drinkers. But you got to remember, I think that there are still plenty of bourbon bars out there that they're dealing with their barrel picks. Some of them are going to price the more hard to find stuff, which this would be. But this is not necessarily, to the everyday consumer, a sought after bottle. They're going to look at it and be like, oh, Old Elk, what is that? $20? Like that's a lot. When you got what else? Blanton's for what? About the same, even though it's a $60 bottle.
Yeah, right.
That's my point. Right. So, I mean, you've got some of that clout from the name brand recognition.
But what would you rather buy this for $20 or Blanton's that you've had? I mean, that's
so I would buy that. So yeah, I understand your point. So I would do that, and it makes sense at that price point of $100. My point is with this: if I'm going to buy a bottle for $100, I want it to be unique. I think this is unique. I think this has got that. We talked about the app. I talked about the apple up front. Sure. Ryan, you agreed with that. There's a little bit of that heat to it that has not gone away, mind you. And I don't know if it's because we're smoking this cigar that has a little bit of just a hint of like that kind of, it dries your palate out a little bit.
Which kind of almost reminds me of San Andreas a little bit.
I wasn't going to say Mexican, but I was going to ask you.
Beat you to it.
I was going to ask you which Padron Maduro from either the anniversary line, the 26th line.
1926, hands down. No question.
Any particular year release?
Not a year release, but
just
the number
1926.
1926, number 9.
Yeah.
That's a great cigar.
Yeah.
You know what?
I'm surprised you didn't say Padron. I was going to wait until this point to actually bring it up, and I did.
Guys,
I was waiting for you to like
Padron 1926, very similar. That's what it was. I couldn't figure it out.
I even asked the question, what would you compare this to on the American market? You said La Imperiosa.
And I said
And
a hybrid.
Viejo.
I said a cross between.
It's not a wrong answer. I was just
I should have said Padron 1926, number 9 Maduro.
So with the bottle at $100, bringing that in there, I'll actually take a different approach than I normally do. I always bring price into it. But the thing I like about both of these things, I'm going to give the bottle a 9. I think the bottle is something that if you haven't had it before, if you're going to be buying something, I understand your guys' comparison to other things on the market. But if you're running out of things to try, and you normally are buying some more unique stuff or small batches, stuff you are looking to try different bottles, and your price is normally like 60, 75 for something more unique, and you're not willing to go up to like that $150 to $200 MSRP.
Mm-hmm.
This is something again, we're moving that scale there a little bit. So again, this is not competing with a $20 to $30 bottle. Now you can do it based on your own personal preference. Would you buy this bottle at $100 or would you buy Eagle Rare at $35? I'm rating this. You know what I'm saying? Like you can take any angle you want, but for this, it's unique enough that I really do enjoy it. I also think that this is something that, again, once it's gone, it's gone. So I'll give it a 9. The cigar, I'm going to say much the same way. I'm going to price it off of that $60 price point as far as what I'm going to give it a rating as. Not necessarily what it's a heavy pour.
It's a real heavy pour.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm going to sip on that. But I'd say, I'm just saying, because you have to drive.
Thank you.
Nate, can you take it easy on the pours there for him?
Got to keep an eye on him in the playground.
Just saying. So the cigar, though, what I'll say is this. If I'm going to spend $60 on a cigar, I want it to be unique. I want it to be very good.
Yep.
This is not something that you're not necessarily doing the everyday. I'm not going to say this is like an everyday cigar kind of a rating. Not.
Okay, I got you.
So this is something that, taking into consideration that the MSRP is $60 on this, you are up in a league of very unique cigars.
Correct.
I'm not disappointed in the sense that this cigar tastes like a cheap cigar. It should be a $5, $10 cigar. If it was great, obviously I'd love that. But the fact that with a $60 MSRP, this cigar is unique. It doesn't disappoint me. The construction we've talked about is phenomenal.
Yes.
The flavor is unique because we're comparing this now with, based on what Ryan just said, some of the best of the Padron series.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of exactly. I'd want to smoke this. I need to go back and smoke a Padron 50-year Maduro.
Oh yeah,
because it's starting to kind of. I'm thinking about that little hammer. The size of this, I'm thinking, and I know it's the 64, but I mean, if I'm comparing stuff that you guys can get on the market, a 1964 number 4 Maduro, I would say that there are some comparisons there with that little bit of
dryness to
it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And the retrohale is kind of there too. That's why as I'm smoking this, I'm trying to bring it together to something that you guys can get your hands on, that you might be able to enjoy some of the similarities there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm going to say on the cigar, I'm going to give it a 9. If we're going to give just the level ones, or 9.5. I think this is something that if you're going to spend $60, you better not be disappointed. So based on what you heard tonight, if you can get your hands on this at $60, I would buy it. If you're treating yourself or you're trying to buy a gift,
100%.
At your $120 at Royale, if $120 is like $60 to you, compared on your income, you know what I mean?
Sure,
why not?
So what was your number on the cigar?
I'll give it a 9.5.
Okay.
Ooh.
I like that. Hey, has anything
I'm
got
going to say 9.5, just because I'm trying to look at this. We're dealing with stuff tonight. We're not dealing with a priceless bottle necessarily.
Sure.
But once you get to this rare cigar that you were, again, very, very generous to bring to the garage. Yeah, this is something that I'm rating it tonight a little differently than I normally do, just because of the exclusivity of being able to smoke this cigar. If it's $60, I'm going to give it a 9.5. If it's 120, I'll give it more of like an 8.5, 9. You know,
sure.
That's what you pay for it is going to be relative of what I would rate this cigar. Just because, again, when you indulge yourself in something that's not your everyday stuff, you don't want to be disappointed. You go to a steakhouse, and a steak that you could get for $25 or whatever at the store, even with a nice cut, you get a good deal at a butcher or whatever, $25-$30, and you're spending for them to dry age it and everything else, and then prepare it for you and everything else, and you're spending like $100 some for that steak. Is it worth it? People do that all the fucking time. Right. When we start talking about cigars, the same thing. You're looking for, it's an amazing meal. Could you get it for cheaper and do it yourself? Maybe if you learned how to, but you don't necessarily have all the tools to do that. I'm just saying that this is something that this cigar did not disappoint.
Has anything gotten a 10 yet?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if I've given anything a 10. The pairing, I'm going to give it a 9. I'm going to give the pairing. I'm going to be difficult tonight. I'm going to give it an 8.
Ah, come on.
Well, only because they're very good on their own, but going back and forth, they don't necessarily complement each other, but they actually stand up against one another.
You think?
I don't think they conflict. I think they stand up. I can taste this like I did the first sip, and I can taste that the first puff.
Well, what do you want?
They're not bringing anything out from each other.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
That's fair.
Yeah, they're not combining anything, to the fact that like every time I take a puff of this tastes better. Every time I take a sip of this cigar tastes better.
Okay, that's fair.
That's why I'll say,
sure,
an 8 or whatever.
Okay.
Not a bad rating by any means. Mm-mm. So that being said, guys, thank you very much. Ryan, thank you for bringing this. We're going to get into the next segment here. We're going to take a quick intermission. We're going to keep the live video going, but I want to thank our sponsors. You guys out there, patreon.com/bourbon and BS podcast. You guys keep this thing going. We appreciate the support. I apologize about I keep missing that contact in St. Louis. So hopefully we'll talk in the next couple of days and we'll get this thing up and going very quickly. And then I will go to you guys on Patreon of what apparel you want to see first and foremost and give you guys a deal on it first and foremost. So that'll help you guys out if you want to sport some of the shirts that Nate and I are wearing. Also, we're going to have the BS shirts on there as well. The 2020 shirt, when the world hands you some BS, light it up. We're going to have some of the BS silver shirts, and then hopefully we'll be designing another BS gold shirt on there as well. And we'll hopefully make some more podcast shirts, not just different colors. Also, Tinderbox at Easton, thank you very much. Altadis USA, we're going to be smoking in the second half here. Part 2, What's in a Legacy. We're going to be smoking the H. Upman Hispaniola. And thank you to BS Cigar Company. We also have the gold and silver, all 3 sizes in both readily available. So check those guys out as well. Guys, thank you very much. Sean Anderson says you still needs a 3X. You got a 2X. You said it fits well.
Ha!
Just own the package, man. Show it off a little bit.
It's nice.
Yeah, probably.
It's not like he.
All right, we're gonna guys. Cheers! Happy Whiskey Wednesday. Let's take a quick intermission. You drank all that?
Yeah, I need another double pour back. Here, real quick before
drink
we cheers.
some water.
Thank you.
Dead air at the end of an episode while we pour for Ryan.
That's a great pour, by the way.
Sean says it got a little tight in the pits. Well,
great pour.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Happy Whiskey Wednesday.
Happy Whiskey Wednesday.
What's that?
That was me throwing something in the trash can.
Good way to end part 1 there. All right, guys. For those still on, we're going to roll into this. Do you guys need to use the restroom?
I'm good.
Yeah, I should be good.
Okay. Fantastic. How much of that do you want to take back tonight?
None of it.
Hey,
it's all yours.
Hey.
Let's get it.
Let's get it on.
All right. How do we write this up? We said, what's in a legacy?
Nah.
How did you want to say it?
So the way that somebody posted it to me, I asked Instagram for suggestion topics today. Yeah, because they always give me good answers. Someone put, let me get it here. I might go on Instagram Live for a little bit. Why not? No, I don't want to go to DMs here. Let's see. So the way that it was worded to me, define your legacy. So define your legacy. I guess everybody's is different, obviously. And then they put / at the end of it all. How do you want to be remembered and what for? So I think there's a little bit more intricacy with that topic.
I wish I'd have known what the topic was before I got to the garage.
There we go. Well, now you know, Nate.
No, because there was something I would have brought for part 2 that relates to this, but
what were you going to bring?
I'll talk about it on the podcast.
All right, I like that. Very good. So I guess the overall premises of the second part is going to be just that: define your legacy, and at the end of it all, how do you want to be remembered and what for? So should be a good topic whenever Steve is back from. Is he peeing?
Yeah, Steve's in the outhouse.
He's peeing in his yard.
That's the outhouse.
Peeing on your car.
No, I hope not.
It's the back wheel. You don't see it.
No. I gotta get the.
Yeah, you got to watch it anyway.
Hey, do you ever want to trade cards? By the way, just let me know. Range Rover.
What he says.
No, you say that he's going to do it, and then immediately sell that car, trade in on something just like what he's got now,
Beef it up,
and then pocket the extra cash.
dude. That car is so great. It's got like 4 or 5 different off-road modes. It's a beast.
And how many
It's a
times have you
beast.
gone off road in it?
Don't you worry about that, man. That's my personal business. Don't ask me about.
Curbed it a couple times, but that's
So I curved on the way here. Yeah.
Perfect.
That little that turn right by Easton or whatever. Yeah, completely curved it. Black rims. I don't know if they're black anymore. They might be scuffed up. Yeah.
Wow.
Are you guys ready to go?
Let's do it.
I looked at that. Text her back and tell her what you're drinking, all right? Matt's. No, it's
Minute
Minute Maid whiskey.
No, yeah. I was gonna Minute Maid whiskey. Oh, aged. Bro.
Aged.
4 years at least.
I doubt that. Aged 1 season.
What did you actually get a text message from
Yeah,
the
I
lady?
did.
Like,
I
oh my
did.
gosh,
Yeah,
how
I
much are you
did.
drinking?
Yeah, don't worry about it. I did.
Slow proof.
Very.
Is it fermented? You say it's 100%. What's the mash bill? 100%?
100%. It's 100% organic too.
I doubt that.
No, it's not. It's not organic.
How do you know?
It's not
You're not a
certified.
doctor.
Well, because
All
if
right.
it did, it would have the USDA organic logo.
Just
on
watch
it.
your sugar levels, all right? Let's just be careful with
Yeah,
that.
we don't want it. Yeah, type 2.
Holy shit! It's got about as much sugar as a Mountain Dew.
It's natural sugar. It's God's sugar.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna stream Instagram live. Why not?
But we're gonna go live again.
I know. I'm gonna stream my people in here.
Who are you? Wait, what does that mean?
Yeah,
Am I part of your people? Am I gonna get an
You are my
alert?
people. You were always my people.
Hey.
I like how you have a coaster and you haven't
What?
used it at all.
I understand. Yes, I know. We're live right now.
Go ahead. Well, talk to him.
I gotta figure out where to set it here.
Well, it's gonna be
It's-
sideways.
well, that's
They don't
okay.
Flip on it.
They'll figure it out.
Is that good? Well, you
We
have to
gotta wait
talk to the
till-
mic. So
Okay, hold on. I gotta move it back a little bit. Can I move this back?
for those on
You may have
the
to-
intermission,
Hold on.
may have to
Hold
use a
on. We're gonna
water
move this
glass.
back just a little bit.
Jesus Christ.
Hold on. Yeah, Padrina said, "Tell you absolutely."
Anyone
Label,
listening
man.
on Ryan D. Newman on Instagram Live right now?
Look, I know it's sideways, man.
And Nook, join on the
What are you
Facebook,
doing,
man.
Nook?
We want to get you on the Facebook.
Come
What's
on,
going
man.
on? Everyone out there, we're on Facebook, Bourbon and BS Podcast. You can actually get a better angle than him.
Yeah, this is terrible.
It really, I mean, it's not your best angle. I'll tell
You're
you
just
that.
saying that, Steve, because the Facebook live feed has you
I
in
didn't
it.
get an
My
alert.
boy Padrino.
Do I follow you?
I don't know. Maybe. I hope so.
Probably not anymore.
You
Nah,
probably
but
have
we
your
are here.
notifications
We are
turned off.
Bro, yeah, you probably do have my fucking notifications turned off. All right. Anyway,
Are we ready?
we're into part 2.
Welcome back to the Bourbon and BS Podcast, everyone. This is episode 181, part 2, Beyond the BS. So we've got Ryan Newman still in the garage. He is Instagram living right now.
Trying.
It's not going well.
Just
Okay.
unplug it.
Is it awkward for everyone
No,
out
I'll
there?
get this. There we go. There we go.
Yeah, all right.
There we go. We're good.
So he's apparently hosting his own show on it by himself on Instagram Live. If you guys are listening on there, so I don't know where that voice is coming from. If you're watching him, watch himself.
Yeah, I'm getting people to come on, man. I'm getting people to
No,
come in.
it's
There
All
we
like-
right,
go.
tell him that.
Look.
It's like
we
the
got
old.
Well,
Flesh. We got Nook. We
well,
got Padrino,
yeah,
we
and
got
he was
Frankie
watching
Vibes,
it.
we got
Guys, just
everybody.
go
Here we
ahead.
go. Let's get it.
No, it's like the old
Also
days.
get on Facebook Live. Join the conversation.
Yeah.
See you content, Kyle.
See
Kyle
you,
B.
buddy.
Smith, photography. Tonight we are smoking still the Fuente Heaven and Earth series.
Yep.
Opus X.
Mm-hmm.
Tauros, the Bull, Maduro. Thank you, Ryan, for bringing that. I still have some. You are lighting up 2 different things right now. It looks like.
Shortly. Yeah.
We're also still sipping on the Old
Special
Elk
one.
Small Batch number 3. Guys, check it out. If you guys did not, you're listening to the audio, check out part 1. We talked a little bit about Old Elk. We talked about the way that Fuente gets this product out there in very small quantities. So we got a small batch, and we've got a very small batch cigar as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very tough to find. And I want to thank our sponsors. Throw them up on the screen here for those that are listening again or just tuning in. And guys, share this if you will. Get the audience a little bit larger. We've been getting a good audience here. And Ryan, anyone watching you on Instagram Live, get them on Facebook Live. Switch them over. Sorry to hurt your numbers for the virals of the TikToks.
Hey, someone said only watching Ryan's feed. That's Nook.
Nook.
My boy.
I'll remember that. You better have 2 devices, you asshole. But patreon.com/bourbonandbs podcast. You guys are a huge help. Check that out. There are different ways you guys can contribute to the show. And again, we're working on getting stuff out there for you guys to help out with that. We have run out of raffle prizes, but we're going to work on getting more of those. And honestly, once I get those the online t-shirt sales going, you ready to take the sunglasses off or no?
Yeah, man,
Or
ready.
are you gonna?
He looks like
back on.
no, with those glasses, he looks like a skinny Elton John.
But check them out. I'm going to try to get some also swag as well for you guys. Tinderbox at Easton, thank you very much for the by way of all this stuff, typically the featured cigar, but collaboration between Tinderbox at Easton and Altadis USA for the H. Upman Hispaniola. Thank you guys very much. We're going to enjoy that. You are going to be lighting that up.
Shortly, yes.
And you're almost done with that. I still have half of the Opus here. So, and then also BS Cigar Company, check them out. Gold and silver, fully in stock right now. BS Cigar Company on Instagram, Facebook. Contact us through the podcast. Check it out. Call the Tinderbox at Easton. They carry it, as well as Royale Cigar Lounge. What?
Focus. Right there. Focus. There you go.
Who is it?
Frankie Vibes, my boy.
Does he know my tag? Or
I don't know. That's Steve's. Frank, I don't know if you know that, but that's Steve's tag for working out and stuff. And
trademark? Michael
living
Scott.
life. Michael Scott. Perfect.
What's in a legacy is the topic tonight. Let's dive into this. So this is something that you said this on the intermission, but Ryan, you were looking at different things for topics as you're coming on. You brought the cigars, you brought the whiskey. Why not bring the topic?
No.
And you reached out to your what audience?
So I mean, I just posted on Instagram what would be good life topics to discuss, and somebody, there was a lot of good topics posted, but the one that stuck out to me was define your legacy, and at the end of the day, what do you want to be remembered for and why?
Yeah.
So I think that's a good and broad topic to speak on.
It is. And so I took what, the text messages again, I didn't, get all that stuff. And then we were talking on the phone as you were running around, I was running around, and I said, what's in a legacy? The way I took that, I said, the panel is hopefully not quite halfway on the journey of life. So the ages here, I'm the oldest. We got 40, 30s, 20s.
Correct.
Right. So we got a fairly young panel compared to some of the viewers out there. But I think you guys can also chip in based on this conversation. And I will try to show as many comments as I can to add to the conversation. So I said, hopefully not quite halfway on the journey of life. So we are always learning and growing when it comes to what we may leave behind. This is a question that we may want to revisit as we go through life to put some things into perspective as we live it. The way I took what you were saying on the phone and what your Instagram follower had put out there, it is a lot of the times, you're thinking of legacy. You think of people that we've lost, people that were important to you, and you think of their legacy. You think about some of these things that, you see a name on a building, at a university. You think about some of the stuff that, Fuente, we're smoking Fuentes, right?
Yeah.
And you think of Arturo.
Mm-hmm.
They still have Arturo Fuente, Fuente on there. No one really knows that. I literally had someone come into the shop not too long ago, in the last month or two, that said that they were down in Ybor City and they met Arturo Fuente, and I didn't want to correct them, which is fine. But the point is that sometimes your legacy is continued on through people that either are part of the family or believe in it, or they want to, pay tribute to that.
Sure.
But when you think of legacy, what I'm looking at, the way I took what you had said, what she had said, is this is something that for this conversation is just even doing this podcast. This isn't necessarily a legacy, but after doing 3+ years of a podcast that's out there live, right? And then it's stored out there.
Yeah.
That I look at it as however big this ever gets or however small it stays, this is something that if you're talking about me as a person, if you're part of my family, my friends, my family that are friends, all that stuff, this is something that this is now documented, that you can have this reference or this tribute to the person that you knew, as opposed to someone that does something just quietly and on the side. Now you all have memories.
Absolutely.
Also, you're going to have impact on people, that the stories will continue. Before Facebook, before the internet, before all this video and everything else, there are these great stories that live on. There are these things that, that these great people. But when you think of when I think of legacy, I don't necessarily always just think of what everyone thinks of as these great characters in history. Sometimes it's just the way you live your life. And that's the way I phrased it. If you're feeling down, if you're feeling like, is what I'm doing worth it? These are times that if you look at the end game of what legacy you want to leave, or what do you want to carve?
What do you want to be remembered for?
What do you be remembered for? Is that enough motivation to either push you to do something with your day that you've been presented with again when you wake up? Is it something that you feel you've been building blocks towards, days that you've been given, and you're going to continue to do that? Where is that with the legacy? Because legacy, I think a lot of times people think of legacy as that great man or that great woman in their life, that they're at the funeral and they think of all this stuff at the very end. But I think sometimes, based on what she had said, your Instagram follower had said, is that, what are you doing on a day-to-day basis?
Absolutely.
Darren Betty says, build your own legend. Oh, and look, Nook's here.
Sweet. I think you meant legacy on that. Build your own legacy and not legend, but
Well, I think it's kind of interchangeable,
it could be
right?
synonymous, right? Yeah, that's fair. And I think
Someone ran over a skunk
that's
outside.
the point. I mean, you don't have to be somebody that the world remembers. Your legacy could be how the people in your life, the people that you put into your life, your friends, your family, whoever that may be, how do they remember you? That is your legacy. It's each their own. It's not necessarily, you don't have to be, a multi-millionaire, a multi-billionaire. Right. You don't have to necessarily change the world to have a legacy. But what is it that at the end of the day, what do you want to be remembered for most? What exactly? What's your imprint? What is it that at the end of
the speaking of the microphone, when you want to make a comment, raise your hand.
Raise your hand. What is it that, at the end of the day, do you want people to talk about when they're bringing your name in conversation?
Right. So I'll throw up a comment here that Ray Cheshire, moved on me. Ray says, to me, physical things that you leave behind do not a legacy make. Apparently he's a little bit of Yoda in him. How people remember you and continue to tell your story is your legacy. Your name on a building, for me, isn't a legacy. And to me, I think it's kind of a little bit of both. I mean, obviously there's reason names are on buildings that may not be something that is necessarily memorable. It's just because they do have a lot of money or material possessions.
Sure.
But I think it is the impact of what you're leaving on an everyday basis. This is a check the mirror type of a thing, right? On a daily basis. Sometimes if you're looking at this and it's just a frame of mind, right? This is a way of thinking necessarily sometimes that you get to this point where do you want to go in? It's not one thing, right? So I was going to say something here, but it's like, do you want to just go into work to a job you don't like so that you can just go home and have a roof over your head?
Sure.
To some people, yes. That's it. That's the priority, is to have shelter, to have these things, have food on the table for yourself. If you have people around you, that is a legacy to some. Like if you I know Sean's putting out there about the family and everything like that. This is something that it's not always about a bigger circle. It's not a social circle. It's not about your job necessarily. You made an impact. You want to do your job well. I can appreciate that. But sometimes you're not impactful to a big circle. Sometimes it's just your family.
Sure.
And sometimes, at this point, none of us on this panel have kids at different stages of our life. Some of us may have kids at some point. Some of us may not. But it's the people that you impact as you're going along the road. So, I think there's no right answer to it. If you have a family, that is, I will say this, is that even the family that, my parents, my sibling and his family and the friends that I consider family, I try to, when I lose my way at times, is something that looking at this as the what's in a legacy, you can look at it as this is a good way to frame the way you act, the way you interact with people.
Sure.
The way you present yourself, the way that you hold yourself accountable for certain things that you do. So legacy is not always this just absolute majestic, big time thing that, makes the news alerts on your phone. Sometimes it's something that the legacy is something that you built as far as a community. It's something that you built as friendships or as a family.
So I agree with that. 100%. I think everything that you said, you don't have to have a large imprint to define your legacy. But I think in that same, with the same point to that conversation, I think the ones that you should worry about most in life, about leaving a positive impact, are the ones that you deem close to you,
right.
Like your close friends like yourself to me, and and your family. That's
right.
That's very much important. But to get to more of a personal fulfillment, to me, I think you can take that the opposite route. I can say that maybe, Steve, would it fulfill you if this podcast, what we're doing here, if what was started at the Tinderbox Easton, just hanging out in the back of the shop, drinking whiskey, smoking cigars, turns into a big conversation like this, and it creates a massive following. That's something that you want to be remembered for. This is something that you gave to people where they found a niche within what you're doing.
Right.
You're creating an impact within your industry by giving people an outlet.
Right.
I think there's something to be said that's huge.
Well, I appreciate that.
That's huge. And that's something that, in my standpoint and where I'm at now in life, you're right. I'm 27 years old, no kids. I don't necessarily have a family that I'm dedicated to at the moment. My goal is to impact my industry in a way that
the cigar industry, music industry,
all of it, both,
more,
always more. Always something that's, whatever I do, I've had the privilege to work with a lot of really knowledgeable people, both in the cigar industry and the music industry. I'm very fortunate. And I've learned from everybody. But I look at that now and say, why can't I be bigger than him? I want to be bigger than him.
Yeah. So motivation
it's a motivation.
Inspiration.
It's a motivation. It's something where, it's why did you like a certain company? Why do you shop where you shop? Why did I become not only a member of the Tinderbox, but then an employee? Because it was the people that bring you back.
Yeah, it is. Well, yeah, and I've told you this for a long time. I don't know if I think you heard it before that, but you've heard me say it, that people buy from people they like. Right?
Right.
That's always the case.
That's the first step in sales, is you're not necessarily selling a product, you're selling yourself.
You meet a lot of salespeople, and you think that would be the first rule of sales that they would absolutely live by. And turns out that is not always trained in a sales class, or they weren't paying attention. They might have been absent that day.
It's something I picked up in my different industries of sales.
Sometimes salespeople look at it like people buy from people that like themselves.
No, like in all the different.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
In all the different fields that I've done sales in, cigars, fitness, energy, like the one thing I always focused on was trying to educate the customer on what it was I was selling. I wasn't trying to, play mind games and trick them into signing a contract. Sure. I wanted to give them enough information to where they then felt comfortable buying what I was selling. I didn't want to be pushy. I just wanted to be informative. And not everyone appreciates that, but a lot of people that I would come across would appreciate me just being honest. And sometimes I would just start my conversation with like, hey, this is something that's been available. Do you have any questions about it? Like, I'm here to answer questions about this industry. Is there anything that you want to know? And then I'll tell you like how we are and, try and sell us as a brand.
All right. To that point, I do want to introduce this is that we had a comment from Brian Fuhrer, listener out there, local guy. In the cigar world, legacies are earned by their master blends that rock your world. To that point, there are different facets of the cigar world, just like any other industry. And I'll say this, some of the people that we're talking about, like the Fuente family, absolutely, those are legends. They have legacies that are doing, not only because of the blends they're doing, but the fact that they were successful in the business to get the blends to you, as well as building up the countries that they are involved in.
Can I speak on that?
Yes, and then I want to go to the next comment. That was no. So yes, speak on that.
So I'm just saying, as far as the Fuente legacy as a whole, the first time I met Carlito Fuente Jr., it was at the IPCPR in 2015. I remember I only saw him. I saw him twice. I saw him once at a bar, and I saw him once at the showroom. When I saw him on the showroom, he was walking, and he had a crowd behind him.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm talking massive. People just following him just because he is who he is. Didn't see that with anyone else.
Right.
That's it. I mean, as far as
okay,
that, like that's okay. I mean, if that goes to show.
So no, you're right. And then Ray commented on that. He replied to that. Is that a legacy or a reputation? I would say that a reputation is kind of what Nate's talking about as a salesperson. I think this is something that. A reputation is the way that you live your life, but a legacy is a goal. If you want to look at, again, the end game, look at the end of the road is when you leave. That's the legacy. I feel like for me, and maybe we should look it up as far as what the actual definition is. But I think a legacy is typically what you leave behind. Reputation is what you're doing while you're still here. So is that a legacy or reputation? I think reputation is what builds to a legacy. That's the way I look at that. So I think that this is something. And then so Sean Anderson, I'll throw it up on the screen there. He commented right as I was saying that. Nope. I think a reputation builds a legacy at the end. And then Ray says, yes, look it up. So let's look up the definition here. But Sean agrees with me here is that I think a reputation builds a legacy at the end. That's the way I look at that.
Yeah.
Shannon, go ahead. If we turn Shannon on there, please. Thank you.
First of all, I'm going to say thank you to the Bourbon and BS community for reaching out.
Turn them up, please.
Check.
Yeah, you're good.
Good. Just want to say thank you to the Bourbon and BS community for reaching out and sending some nice words and encouragement after my father's passing. That means a lot. That's huge. Speaks to our community.
Cheers.
And
cheers. Raise a glass, everyone.
Cheers, Pops.
Cheers, Pops.
Cheers.
So Monday, we laid him to rest. We buried him, and I got to speak at the funeral. And we're talking about legacy, and this really rings with me because his legacy was huge for family.
Right.
So he wasn't rich in pocket. He was rich in heart.
Absolutely.
And when I think about him, I think about honesty, integrity, and sacrifice. That's what he left behind for us. And those 3 words are going to ring in my head till the
Same
day.
again.
Honesty, integrity, and sacrifice. He was honest about every day in life. His integrity is impeccable. I've never met a person in this world that knew my dad and ever spoke one bad word about him.
Okay.
He was always a generous man. Sacrifice. He sacrificed everything for our family to make sure we had what we had. He'd bring you in. He'd put you up. He'd give everything just to see you take the next step forward, get back on your feet. So that legacy to me in family, like when we're talking about the family aspect, is huge. And I am going to do everything in my power to make sure that legacy lives on and try to impart my little piece into it as I go on with my life.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree. I think if from the sound of it, I never had the privilege to meet your father, and my condolences to you and all of your family. I haven't seen you. I think the legacy is his character, and everybody's is different.
Agree.
Everybody's is different. What mine might be.
Go. I want to chime in. Finish your thought. I want to chime in saying that whatever you're going to say, I would put some money on the fact that it's always based on character.
Always.
That's the reputation. That's the legacy. Sorry.
No, you're right. So the fact that he is so caring, that's how you will always remember him. That's how your family will always remember him. That's an incredible legacy. You know what I mean? That's more than you could ever ask from any individual. And that's how it, but yours might be different. Right? And
it will be different.
It will be different. And that's the beautiful part of, how everybody, it can change over time, but that's the beautiful thing about.
And there might be some similarities there, right? I mean,
Sure.
Some people might say, that you remind them of your pops.
Yep.
Right. I don't know. Have you heard that before?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And my legacy will definitely.
And you actually are part. I'm sorry. When they say that, I'm sorry. I want to just finish that thought. Is that when someone says that about someone that you look up to, whether it be your father, your pops, or whether it be someone, a mentor, but that is a huge compliment, not only to you if you respect that, but also it's still that legacy living on when they say that. When you do something or just in general, that you remind them, even though you're your own person.
Yeah.
And you're going to leave your own legacy, to Ryan's point.
Yeah.
Reputation. But that is how that works. That is a factor of a legacy, is the impact that it leaves on people that are close, like yourself.
Yeah. Ryan's absolutely right about my legacy will be different, but those key words will be in my legacy.
Correct.
Right.
So my legacy is going to be completely different where I go with my life and my family and all that. But those key factors will be a driving force in it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we're always going to come from a legacy that somebody left behind for us. But it's our part to take that legacy and make it into our own. So it's be like a family tree almost, legacy family tree.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So... But yeah, that's perfect. You're right, Ryan. Just make your own legacy, but look back and follow what came before you.
Nate, did you look up the definition? And Shannon, thank you for
legacy?
sharing that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, I did.
All right, let's get after that.
So,
all right, so did you look up both legacy and reputation?
Well, one at a time. So,
all right, start with legacy. All right.
So,
all right.
3 definitions for legacy. A gift by will, especially of money or other personal property.
Ooh, that's number 1.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Was that
Webster?
Webster's?
Oxford?
No,
That's Merriam-Webster. Merriam-Webster.
Check the Oxford one. Will you?
That's number 1. The third definition, and there's a reason I'll come back to
also,
number 2.
did you look up Urban Dictionary?
No.
Yeah, let's get on.
No.
What do you mean?
wanna
No,
get a
let's get on Urban
well-rounded,
Dictionary. Yeah, I want everything.
definition of this.
Definition.
Danny, look up Urban Dictionary. Will you?
Definition number 3 for
Augusta.
legacy. a candidate for membership in an organization such as a school or fraternity
So that's
who is
the
given
second
special
generation,
status because of a familial relationship to a member.
Okay. Number 3.
The second definition that they list, something transmitted by or received from an ancestor or predecessor or from the past.
Wow.
Say
And
that,
it-
wait, say that one more time.
Something transmitted by or received from an ancestor or predecessor or from the past. And they give 2 different uses in a sentence for that.
Like for a spelling bee, yeah.
One is the war left a legacy of pain and suffering. The other
Jesus.
was the legacy of the ancient philosophers.
I feel like whoever was working at Merriam-Webster was having a bad day.
They're having a
It's better
terrible
than the
day.
other definitions that they give,
Terrible day. That's not what a.
because the other ones are
Yeah,
Ox-
all right.
of relating to or being a previous or outdated computer system,
Now go to Urban Dictionary, please.
of relating to or associated with or carried over from an earlier time, technology, business, etc.
That's like a fossil.
That's Merriam-Webster.
I'm disappointed in Merriam-Webster.
That's
Dustin, can you put number 4 on? Dustin, if you could. UrbanDictionary.com. Legacy.
UrbanDictionary.com. Legacy.
I feel like this is going to go poorly.
It's just terrible.
It's planting seeds in a garden you never get to see.
That's actually deeper than I've
Ooh.
ever heard.
That's actually good.
Wait, say that one more
And that's
time.
the only one they have listed.
Say that
That's
one
actually
more time.
good.
We'll repeat it for the.
It's planting seeds in a garden you never get to see.
See, I think that is a better,
Well,
even though it's metaphorical, or literally, obviously, like, if you did plant in a garden and then you passed away and then all of a sudden it sprouts up. But as a metaphor for life, that is definitely more inspirational than the
Pretty spot
assholes
on.
over at Merriam-Webster. Seriously, they need to check on the staffing.
Yeah, that was
Maybe
yeah, that was
people from
awful.
Urban Dictionary.
Too many snowflakes on that staff.
Stop it.
Stop it.
No, too many.
and then I also have the definition of
disagree.
reputation.
No, I don't disagree.
You said it off, Michael. All right, go ahead with Oxford.
Yes. The beliefs or opinions that are generally held about someone or something, a widespread belief that someone or something has a particular habit or characteristic.
So the way, if you look at the Bourbon and BS podcast dictionary, legacy, how would you define legacy based on what your Instagram follower would have defined it?
I think what they're referring.
Act
I think they're
like
referring
you're
to
on a
you.
microphone.
So I think the reason why they put that slash in the post, and I can pull it up, is what do you want to be remembered for? What is your?
Maybe that's a new way of looking at the term legacy.
I don't know. I mean, I so when I heard it, it made sense to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that most of us actually look at it that way. Ray Chester says, look it up. But I mean,
He said, yeah.
I look at legacy also, just to introduce a little bit more of a wrench into it, is that legacy is, it is if we're going to stick with that definition so let's define it as a group here.
Okay.
What we're talking about here. Reputation is what you're doing to build up to a legacy, right?
Yes.
It is a way that if you frame your mind to do that, right? So
Correct.
when you're living your everyday life, is that how do you want to be remembered? But don't just look at it from the end of your life, but what is the reputation that you're leaving behind every time you go to sleep at night, right?
Yeah.
So this is something
Yeah,
that
you don't have to be dead.
yeah, hopefully you're not.
Well, like, if you have kids, like, you have a reputation, your kids have a reputation. But if there's a legacy there, like, I'm leaving behind something that other people are either going to remember me by once I'm gone, or something that, my kids can take over.
Sure.
That's what I think a legacy is.
Sorry, I was doing camera work and pouring at the same time.
That was
You did a
very
great
skillful
job.
of you. Yeah, you did really
Multitasking.
multitasking.
Ryan, let's dive into it.
Okay. Let's dive in.
Do you have enough apple juice in that glass?
Yeah, the Minute Maid is
No, get it right.
it's great.
I'm gonna throw up some of your guys' comments as well, but Ryan, let's get into it, right? So, like, you brought the topic, you had someone suggest it. How does it apply to you? Like, what are you doing? Like, you said you wanted the cigar game, you want to do something to leave a legacy. You, at the very least, you want to leave an impact, right? You want to leave a mark,
yeah,
which is in a sense a legacy. Sometimes legacy might be a to some might be a bigger picture thing, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's like everyone knows, like, you're leaving a legacy.
Sure.
But leaving a mark is another way of saying it to your industry or your family or the people around you.
Yeah.
But you're doing that in the cigar world. You're doing it. You've done a lot of music. Are you still doing a lot of music stuff, or are you taking a back seat right now? I feel like it's taking a back. I don't
want to say a back seat because that's not necessarily the case, but it's just not first priority.
Okay.
I mean, right now, I'm committed at least, anywhere from 65 to 80 hours a week. With
So you have to prioritize your time, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And you only have so much time in the day and in the week, so you had to figure out how to manage that. And I'm still absolutely involved with certain things in the music industry, but you gotta realize you can still be remembered in both industries by just being a solid individual and being somebody that when you are working with somebody, they remember who you are.
Yeah.
You
be memorable.
Be memorable. And
hopefully for good reasons.
Right. My objective, and here's the thing, I'm not for everybody. I'm completely different. Let's focus on the cigar side of things. In the cigar world, I'm completely different.
How so?
I mean, if you look at the way that I dress.
I have sunglasses in my garage at night. Let's start up there.
Sure.
Is that Corey Hart? I wear my sunglasses at night.
All right. Yeah, please stop. Continue, Ryan.
No, I
you say you look different.
Thanks, Shannon.
I mean,
How
I'm
so?
probably the only one in the cigar industry that decided to buy a diamond chain of their logo.
What's the other one there?
That's the one I had originally.
Oh yeah, 6. Yeah,
Love it how he always
614.
talks not into the mic.
But yeah, I mean, I'm just.
But your look has changed also.
It has changed.
Okay.
It's evolved. But I feel like now I'm at a point where I am living more authentic to myself.
Good.
Than what I ever have in the past.
Yeah.
And in a positive way.
I would agree with that, based on what I know about you.
In a positive way. The amazing thing about my upbringing with the cigar industry, I was brought up by two or three main people. I'm gonna count Todd in there, as a main guy, right?
Todd?
But Brian and Steve,
Uncle Todd.
And you got your big brother Steve, and you got more of a father figure me for Brian. And I know this has been discussed on prior episodes.
I looked back at your Instagram, and I was going to share it again, but that
Sure.
was something that your closing remarks is like one of the. You don't share a whole lot in the Instagram feed. It's more stories and stuff like that.
Sure.
But I didn't have to go that far back. That June of 2020 is when you were on last with Josh Bentley and I.
Yeah.
And you posted the closing remarks. And it was about some of that, the mentors and stuff you're about to talk
Yeah,
about.
that's right. It is on my Instagram feed. It's something that I do hold near and dear, and that's something that I do want the world to see. So that's why I posted that. But no, like I've had the privilege to be brought up by people that are completely different than me. Him and I are very similar in a lot of ways, but we're also very different, and that's okay. And that's how it should be. But now I've learned the morals and the values that I want from my life. And I want to be known as a solid individual. Forget everything else. Forget wearing, I'm part of my language, forgetting, wearing fucking diamond chains and, driving a Range Rover and shit like that. Like, that doesn't matter. It doesn't.
Matters to you, though.
It's an image. And it's something that's it's an image. Sure. It's who I want to be. I do what I do because I love what I do. It makes me happy. And that's why I'm not for everybody. Some people think I'm too flashy. Some people think I'm too nice. Some people think I'm too much of an asshole. Wait, remember
this is Rick.
And
that's
says,
the growth. That's not an insult. That's
no, not at all.
That's the growth.
It says, I remember the broken little man who was obsessed with pleasing others. You're absolutely right, Ray.
You're taller than Ray,
but I was a kid and he was right. I was broken.
Yeah.
I was wanting to be somebody for everybody, but now I know who's in my circle.
Mm-hmm.
My circle knows who I am. They know why I'm the way I am. And I love them to death. And I don't care about pleasing anybody else, because the ones that are going to support me, they're going to take me for who I am. And sure, I'm, maybe I'm a little, eclectic for a few, but that's okay. I am the way that I am because the way that I am is 100% authentic. You're always
exactly the word I was going to use.
Yep. And it just, I still hold true to my morals and my values despite what you see at surface.
I think people, however you are, people will accept you for being authentic. What I think most people hate is a fake or someone who's a poser.
Sure.
Like, even if they don't like what you represent or who you are, as long as you're being authentic, they can respect that.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily have to agree with it, but they respect it because you're being authentic, because they don't want to deal with someone who's fake and just, shooting rainbows out of their ass.
That's right.
All right. So let me.
I want to hear this.
No, what I want to chime in with that is that Ryan talks like that, and I think this may apply to many of you out there, is that you say something that you're authentic and that you're not for everyone, and you're not worried as much about what people think about you. That's all well and good, but don't be so finite with that. There are people that are in your life that absolutely you want them to keep you in check.
Yep.
So it's not about like what you drive, how you dress. It's not about that. It's about how you treat other people.
Yep.
And so when you say it like that, I don't know if you meant it like that, but I don't want anyone to be confused about who Ryan is to my, and maybe I'm off because we don't hang out as much, but I know that you do care about what certain people think about you, and it's not everyone anymore. It is people that you respect and you want their approval because if they disapprove, you're going to disapprove and you may not see it.
Yep.
So I want to kind of frame that in a sense that when you're living your reputation, when you're living your legacy, there are people in your life that can call you out. I've had it in my life. I'll take it off of Ryan a little bit, but it may apply to you. I think it might. What I know about you is that when you go too far one way off the yellow brick road, right? You got to bat yourself. You got to have people that actually bring you back in. Reality checks, right? Sure. So reality checks. It's not about bringing you down or people that are condescending. It's like, like you're talking about some of the material possessions, you know what I mean? Like your pendant and your car that you have right now. Well, I saw it when you used to wear suits all the time. You know what I mean? I saw it when you were having this image and all that stuff. Well, the image will change. It always does. There are outside factors or even like factors that you bring in. If you start a family, if you have kids, you might carry some of that over with you.
Sure.
And I'm looking out in the audience right now, and I know that, I got 4 people looking at us where we do it live. And Daniel, at his age, he has changed, but he has brought the positives with him through the journey.
That's right.
Dustin's the same way, right? Shannon has been on the podcast. Dustin's been on the podcast, and he's shared several times. But Shannon's been on the podcast, shared his entire story as Sean has. All of these things, you do have this callous attitude sometimes where it's about the fact that you don't care what everyone thinks about you, because there is a point where you need everyone's approval.
That's right.
And maybe that's what you're speaking to. But that circle of people that you care about what their opinion of you gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And at some points of your life, it may just be that person looking back at you in the mirror. if you get to that point, I would encourage you to slowly expand it again.
That's right.
With hesitation, who you look at. But I do think that I know Ryan well enough. I know Nate well enough. I know myself well enough that we could all spout out that, you know, I'm not saying it in a negative way, but like say, I don't care what other people think about me. Bullshit.
Yeah, not true.
We all care about what certain people think about us.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that know us the best. And they're not judging, but they will give an opinion sometimes if asked for, and other times if it's unsolicited, they'll do it. And then there'll be but I still love you. And if it gets too extreme, if you're going down too far off the path, it's going to be, and I'm here for you when you want to come back to this. You're going to lose some people. Make sure it's the right people. Shannon, go ahead. Hit him up.
So I think maybe, Ryan, what you're speaking on is finding your truth. Finding your truth of who you are, your morals, where you stand, in your circle of influence, right? We all have our circle of influence, our board of directors, as how you guys put it.
Right.
Last episode, right?
Last time you were on, yeah, absolutely.
So I was in the same boat. I lived my life pleasing people for the longest time, and it always left me empty and drained and wanting. But as I've grown up and I've grown and matured, I've found my truth.
Sure.
And, you know, there's always going to be people always going to say, talk shit about me or you or somebody, but those aren't our circle.
Mm-hmm.
They can't penetrate that circle. Those are just words. So our circle is what matters, and we all have a circle. And when you stand in your truth, is what you're doing now, and I commend you for that. Live it, love it,
right?
Be it. But when the times get rough, your circle is the one's going to bring you back in.
Your circle is the one that's going to bring you back in, right? But
absolutely,
you're absolutely correct about that. But sometimes how you're remembered is more than from your circle, and that's okay too.
But that's
sure.
Just
No. And to my point,
you gotta get the mic if you want to talk.
Yeah, let me get my rebuttal in. Let's say, let's talk about from a cigar manufacturing side.
Okay.
Do you think they want only a few people to experience their product, or do you think they want to get it out nationally and internationally if possible to have everyone enjoy what they're doing?
For what motivation or what goal? Business or pride or ego?
Maybe not pride, maybe not ego, maybe not business, maybe but a collection of everything.
Okay.
You do what you do for specific reasons.
Well, you talked about, like, I'll answer that if, you know, with you prioritizing your time. So you were
Correct.
big for a while there, you know, like you were working in the cigar industry, but you were trying to focus on the music side to see if that was a path for you.
Sure.
And then it was starting to become that, but then all of a sudden you had this opportunity to get back into the cigar industry at the level you're at right now, which is impactful, but at the same time it's local.
Sure.
And right now that's the priority. There's a lot of things where, you know, you want to get into and impact a lot of people because of your enthusiasm, your passion, and everything else, your drive, and you want to do that. And really, I admire this about you. You look at it, all of those as the sky's the limit, but you do prioritize. So when you have A through F of all these things you want to do, it's not always A, B, C, D, E, F, right?
Correct.
Sometimes it's A, C, F, E, D, you know, I mean, like, and that order will change. And maybe that will then, as you go through life, realistically, it may not be A through F. It might now be A through D.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
E and F will
They'll come
tail off,
yep.
and if you want to, like, if someone wants to talk to you about it, or if someone asks you a question about it, like, I can give you some advice on that, or I can give you my experience on it.
Yep.
But I that's not where my life took me.
Correct.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But you know, that's also the beauty for, I think, all of us at our ages now. I mean, Steve, you're only what? You're
29.
29 at heart. And I firmly believe that.
Thank you, testosterone.
I firmly believe that. I believe that you can accomplish.
I've had a few reset buttons in my life.
Okay. I firmly believe that you can accomplish anything that you want to in this industry based on your impact at this level.
Appreciate that.
With the BS Cigars, with the Bourbon and BS podcast, with being an active member for 10 years.
Going on
That's
10 years.
Pretty impressive nowadays.
Yeah.
And that's something to embrace.
Absolutely. And I do. I absolutely do.
I mean, I think what we're doing here, what you created here, is something that more people need to get behind the concept of it.
Let's hope.
Look, I mean, you got, you know, obviously the cameras can't see here, but you got 1, 2, 3. We had 5 people here earlier, and it was great to see all those faces.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think many people do that. It's not what they used to, at least.
Yeah.
For one reason or another.
Yeah.
But what this is creating could actually impact someone else's life that you don't even know.
Well, that's why we keep doing it.
That's why you keep doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
There is something to be said about that. The people you don't know, that you can impact somebody that you maybe I don't really, you know, I know you, for example, but maybe I don't know someone in particular, but they're following what you're doing and maybe what you're doing in particular.
Yeah.
And it's giving them an escape.
Escape, inspiration, outlet, whatever you want to call it. It's something that when you do this stuff, it's continuing to hold yourself accountable. And that's some of that. That's the reputation that turns into hopefully legacy at some point. And you keep it positive. There was a comment earlier, I think it was from Ray, and I was kind of getting to that. Sometimes legacy is what you leave behind could be a negative, right? So obviously that's always a possibility, and that can drive someone either that same path, or it can have a different trajectory of life that they respond in a very positive way. What I'd like to see, though, is that you do that. You try to, if you're listening to this, or if you're waking up tomorrow, is how you may want to frame your life, your reputation. Let's bring back what's in a legacy. What's in a legacy is reputation.
It absolutely is. I agree.
So I appreciate those kind words, Ryan. And you sent me a message not too long ago. We were texting back and forth about something, and then you turned it to very complimentary, and it was very impactful about well, the impact that I've had on your life. And you've told me, you said it on the podcast last time you were on, that was, I'll say this, there is a certain point that, and this might hit home to some of you guys. Sometimes you feel like you've made an impact on certain people's lives, whether your kids, whether it be people around you, employees, whether it be people you see that are succeeding. And you're like, you look at that as a in a sense, a finishing point. Like, now they're going to carry the baton. They're going to carry the torch. They're going to do more than I could do. I think, like, you know, dads and moms are like that a lot of times. You know what I mean? Or, you know, like, I've given a good life to this person, and they're going to do way more than I could do. But sometimes you're cutting yourself short, and you're selling yourself short. You're like, you're still living too. So you can still impact other people. And on top of that, you can continue trying to really push yourself.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think there's it's a little bit of a defeatist attitude on your own person when you You say, I've already pushed this being out there. Now they're going to crush it. Well, there's at least two things. One, you need to keep doing it for yourself and following your dreams.
Yep.
And two, I guarantee you that there is a very good possibility that person that you pushed out in the world that's going to do that, they're going to come back to you. And when they look at you, you want them to continue to be inspired by you. If they come back to you, be like, hey, I'm struggling right now. And they look at you, you're like, holy shit, your life's a mess. You fucking gave up on yourself. So now all of a sudden you're impacting and leaving a reputation or legacy that has absolutely contradicted what you impacted that life on. Daniel, what do you got?
Well, we were talking about like maybe a positive or negative legacy, and I think it's possible to have both. And it's dependent upon those circles we were talking about. So your family and people that you love or know you might have a positive or negative view of your legacy, but those outside that circle might have a completely opposite view of your legacy. So, I mean, you can't concentrate on one portion of your life and say that's my legacy. It could be many things. You just need to concentrate, like Steve said, on living your life and doing what you can do for yourself, for your family, for those that you love. And hopefully, at least for the ones that you love, you leave a positive legacy. And the ones outside that circle, I don't think it really matters. You know, they don't know you. They don't know who you really are. They just see what they want to see. And that's what they're going to believe, regardless of what you do.
Well, I think there's levels to that, right? There's circles, right? So you impact if you want to have a positive impact on the people around you, right? And it starts with you, right? So you are your own circle, right? So you want to impact yourself first, and you want to if you have that attitude, even if things are down, you want to get better. You don't want to feel that way. So now you got to figure out the steps to do that, right? So now all of a sudden you impact the people around you after that. That's step two. Now leaving that legacy or whatever, people that don't know you. That's the beauty of it, in my opinion, is that how you impact the people around you. Now they have their circle. Now you've left. So going back to Shannon's thing with his pops, right? Mm. So if he reminds people that knew his pops in a positive way, right? Yes. So now all of a sudden it's a trickle effect, right? This is something that now Shannon's going to impact people, the reputation, and then leaves a legacy. And then all of a sudden the people around him. But there's layers to this. This is something that, yeah, it might be watered down as it gets out to more layers beyond that. People who know people, right? You know what I mean? But people that know Shannon, know you, Daniel, know everyone out there. People that know you, how you live your life. Now you might impact 4 people, 10 people. You impact 1 million people. But beyond that, now those people are impacting people. So that's where a legacy really, really holds true, is that the impact that you have on a day-to-day basis as you live your life, it will impact the people that are around you after you first. Again, always you first, in a sense that you want to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. But how you impact the people around you, whether they may not realize it at that point, but if you can try to strive to have a positive influence on them, then they will at some point impact that and transfer that to the people around them. This is bigger than you realize. To your point, Daniel, is that immediately, yes, it could be a small circle, but then each of those people in your small circle, they have small circles. Right. I'm not selling you guys a pyramid scheme right now. I'm not asking for your credit card information. If you want to send your credit card information, patreon.com. No, but I'm saying is that this impact will absolutely grow in a passive way.
Sure.
Your impact impacts people. Their impact impacts people. This is in that effect, that same thing where this will be a growing thing that hopefully the way you live your life will impact people you have never met. It doesn't matter if you're famous. It doesn't matter if you have millions of dollars. It doesn't matter. You could have literally, it's the same thing as saying hi to someone or holding a door for someone, that then that day is better by them. They pay it forward. Is that what you're gonna say?
That's it.
Say
but
it.
That's absolutely.
Say it in the microphone.
That's
so
absolutely my point to that. But it does not. You're right. At the end of the day, you're. Steve said there's layers to this. there's layers to this. But being able to impact more than that in a positive way is something. There's something to be said for that. That's
Right.
It's special.
And I don't disagree with that at all.
Sure.
I'm just saying you can't live your life worried about what those impacts are on people you don't know.
No, but it can also be motivation for you.
It can. I mean, I'm not saying
It depends
I'm
what
not
you
saying
want out of life.
act differently outside that circle. I'm
Right.
not saying that. I'm just saying the people that is in your circle, no matter how big that circle is, those are the ones that you impact that carries your legacy, your true legacy to the others. It's the ones that are outside your circle looking in, making judgments on how you live your life or whatever you do that don't know you. Those are the ones you can't concern yourself with.
No, you're right. You can't worry about satisfying everybody. You can't worry about you. At the end of the day, the ones that you are responsible for are the ones that you hold near and dear to your life, whether it be your kids, your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever the case, whoever it is, your inner circle, your mom.
I'll go keep talking.
Okay,
I'm
whoever
your
that
phone.
is.
Nate just sets the bottle back down.
What an ass.
Can you put it back so I can make it? All right.
Thank you.
Sorry,
You're good, man. Don't worry about it.
I forgot Ryan was doing his own thing.
Yeah, for a little bit. Anyway, no, I think there's something to be said for your point, but to what we were saying is being able to influence many in a positive way and being able to change someone's life for the better, whatever that might be. I've met you through the Tinderbox. I formed a relationship with you through the Tinderbox. The people that I know throughout here have all been through one thing in particular, one thing in common, which is a cigar. And I'm very fortunate for that. When you get to do certain things in the industry and you get to meet people around the country where you get to have a positive experience with them, and maybe you change their life for the better. Maybe they become a follower of BS Cigar Line. Or
Cigar Company.
I'm sorry, BS Cigar Company.
Just get it right the next time, right?
You got it. My apologies to
Hashtag.
Brian and Steve. More importantly, Brian and Steve.
Oh,
Hashtag get it right.
Hashtag focus.
Yeah, you should.
Okay. Anyway, but for them to be able to create a following and impact more people in a positive way, there is something, like I said, to be said for that. And again, it depends what you want out of your life. Your life is different than my life, then is different than Nate's life and Steve's. Everybody has a different path, and that's just fine. Not everybody is fortunate to have a family or a lot of close ones. Some people are more shy, some people are more introverted, and some people don't have a big family. I'm not saying, I'm very blessed with the family that I have and the people that I have inside my circle. Very fortunate. Not everybody has that. So you got to do what you got to do for yourself and figure out how you can really make your life worthwhile. And how, in my opinion, being able to impact a greater community, whether it be local, whether it be, the bigger picture, to me, there's something to be said for that.
So you're absolutely right. And I'll say this to Daniel's comment. It doesn't matter if you want to leave a positive impact. Whatever you do, what I just said about the circles that you expanded on,
yeah.
If it's negative, if it's selfish, if any negative connotations that you might have towards it, that's going to have the same effect, right? So this is a choice. That was what I said, what's in a legacy, and what your friend said, how they
how
framed
do you want
it.
to be remembered?
How do you want to be remembered?
Yeah, I gotta look back at the post.
That's the action. Like, you absolutely, when you said, like, the way I said it was like, I looked at it as more treetop. It doesn't matter if you're positive or negative or how you live your life. Whatever it does, it has the same effect. I'll say that.
Yeah.
The only thing is that hopefully, if it's positive, it will attract more people, and those layers will be at a higher level of impact. Because hopefully, the negative, if you're a negative person and you're leaving that reputation or legacy behind that it's negative, hopefully that will be rejected as it goes out in the circles. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
That's my hope is. But if it's positive, hopefully it has a longer trickle. You skip that rock on the water. If it's negative, you're aggressive and you're like, fuck this. I hope it just sinks the first fucking bounce. If you're positive, it goes until the next shore. And it reaches that next shore. It literally is like, bing, 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 bing. And you're like, holy shit, that goes really far. Because you're fucking trying. You're fucking trying. If you go out there and someone says, hey, try to skip this rock, I don't want to. And you're like, well, just try it. And you're like, I don't want to. Just throw the fucking rock. You're like, fine. Bloosh.
Who knew?
Because you're not fucking trying.
Who knew Steve would be talking about fluid dynamics?
I got a bachelor's degree. What was that, Shannon? You don't have a mic in front of you.
Butterfly effect.
Butterfly effect.
Okay.
In what sense?
You grab the mic.
Yeah,
Jesus
come on.
Christ. You've been here before. Rachel,
You should probably sit closer to Dan now so you can pass it back and forth. Okay, or not. All right.
It's a negative impact. You know what I mean? It's just like,
Yeah, you're
Can't
good.
please everyone, man.
So it's like
Gotta
the
be the best
butterfly effect, you know, as the butterfly flaps its wings, it creates movement and echoes and vibrations, right? That's what our life is.
Right.
Everybody we come in contact is a new effect of how we present ourselves, how we act, and that person will carry that on, not personally what you said, but the feeling that you might have gave them. And as it goes out, it goes out. So the way you present yourself to somebody is the way you're going to be perceived, and that could be good or bad. You make that choice every day when you meet somebody. We all have situations in our lives that we wake up in a pissed off mood. We go out into the world. Guess what gets put out there?
Yeah.
But that's not who you are in the core. We just have those days. So as you go on through your life, I've been very conscious of that, and I try to be more impactful in a good way. In the past, it was not a good way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But as we mature and get older and we figure these things out, that's where it comes back to living in your truth of who you are and how you want to be perceived. And people will carry that on. So whatever you're doing and how you're living, fuck the naysayers. Who gives a shit about what they say?
Absolutely.
Right.
But your legacy and who you are and who you're becoming is what's going to carry on.
There it is.
Period.
That's it. You're absolutely correct with that.
So we've had some comments, about Bobby Hirschman came on. I don't know if you've been watching that, Shannon. Well, he says I look like, what did he say? I look like I need a hug, which I mean, if you want to hug me, Bobby, when you come in town, I got a hug for you.
Group hug.
All right. I don't know about group hugs, but one
Just
by one.
The three of us.
What? I'll hug Bobby. You can hug Bobby.
No, I meant you, me, and Ryan.
Jesus.
You really want to hug?
We're not that drunk. We're not that.
I don't know about you, man, but I'm on my fifth or sixth.
It's a lot of sugar.
Double.
It's a lot of sugar.
Fifth or sixth?
That's your fourth.
Oh, okay, thank you. My fourth.
Nate, you've been very quiet.
I know. I want to hear more from Nate.
In fact, I don't know if you said anything on part 2. Got to roll back the tape. You've been writing a lot of notes. This is not closing remarks. We'll get to that, but I do want to hear the same thing I said to Ryan, or asked of him. What legacy are you working on, in a sense?
Ooh. So I guess I'll take this out of my closing remarks then.
No, don't. Just
no,
answer
no.
the fucking question.
Well, no,
Thank
because
you.
it pertains to that. So I didn't know ahead of time what the topic was. Normally, we communicate that a little earlier and I can come up with thoughts. But when I got to the garage and I heard what the topic was, the first thought that popped in my mind with what's in legacy was a poem that I wrote more than a decade ago, and it was entitled "What's in a Name."
Okay.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
You didn't say it.
And the basis behind that poem. So what's in a name? It's if you have kids and you pass your name on to the next generation, what kind of weight does that name carry? But then also,
There you go.
you also have to think about, while you're still alive, the kind of weight that the name carried before you, and how do you treat that name? Are you going to tarnish the reputation of that name, or are you going to enhance the reputation?
It all goes back to reputation.
But again, so like when I think of my last name, I think back to, I think to my father, who's still alive, but I think to my grandfather who's passed. But then I also keep going back and thinking about ancestors that immigrated here and the kind of life that they had and the struggles that they had to deal with. And, we carry that name, even though our last name changed because after they immigrated here,
Sure.
For certain reasons, that name still carries a reputation.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you could have several generations that do a name proud, and then you can have one fuck up in that family tree that could potentially ruin the reputation of that name.
Sure.
Now sometimes
Can I rephrase the question?
Okay, go ahead.
How are you living your life to build your legacy?
Yours. How are you doing it?
I know what you're saying, and I'm not trying to be rude or anything like that, but I mean, this isn't closing remarks. You have talked about, like, how are you living your life?
So
what are you doing? What legacy are you building? I'm sorry if I cut you off. Literally, it's like,
I want
to now.
I want to live a legacy that either my family or my offspring can be proud of.
Okay. Are you planning to have kids?
I would like to.
Okay.
But even if I don't, I still carry a name. Even if the last name ended with me,
okay,
how did that last name end? What's the legacy or reputation behind that?
What is it?
Well, I mean, that's still to be determined. Technically,
what are you doing? And Sean, is this going to be like the question that Ann asked you? What are you doing to build your legacy? Like, I mean, what how are you? Practical stuff for the audience.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to live a good life, one that has a positive impact, a positive reputation, behind it.
Okay.
I
can see that.
I don't want to do anything that tarnishes my reputation, because if I tarnish my reputation, that can tarnish my legacy as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
We talk about the now and then the later. What do you remember by later? Like, I want to do things, and it doesn't have to be grandeur things that I do. Just what I leave behind. Is that something that the next person's going to be proud of?
So what are you trying to leave behind?
I mean, I boil it down to, a good reputation, a good name.
Mm-hmm.
If if I pass, however many years from now I pass, if people mention my name, what do they think of me? I want it to be something positive.
Such as?
Whatever. I don't know. Because like you
Okay.
started out the podcast, like if all of us are halfway through the journey.
Hopefully, I said that.
Yeah. If hopefully, well, hopefully Ryan's not yet to the halfway point. Hopefully I'm not to the halfway point. We don't know. Hopefully we're all not to the halfway point yet. But let's say every single one of us is maybe a little dark. But let's say all three of us are exactly halfway right now.
Mhm.
What we do the next half could have a greater impact than what we did the first half.
Sure. Sean Anderson's, damn, is this therapy tonight? No, all I'm trying to do, I'm not trying to pull anything out of Nate right now. I'm literally, it's just conversation. It's purely what, like everything we talked about so far in part 2 is talking about reputation, legacy. It was
in the now.
It's practical. Like,
Yes.
what are we doing? What are we doing? How are we doing this? Like, that's all.
I mean, to that point though, like, you know, we're not all promised tomorrow. I mean, that's not getting dark. It's just, it is what it is, right? It's just a fact of life. We're all not promised tomorrow. So if it's my time tomorrow, like, what are people going to think? You know what I mean? Like, don't focus on, are we at the halfway point? I mean,
no, you're right.
Like right now, like right this second. I hope people say that, you know,
but the thing about that, I know where you're getting at. The thing about that is, let's say, God forbid, let's say tomorrow's not guaranteed for the three of us and something tragic happens. What have you done before today that's going to carry over?
I hope that I am known as one of the more reputable sources when it comes to this industry, and as far as knowledge, and as far as
you don't care about that.
No, I absolutely do.
Stay into the mic.
I shouldn't.
I mean, that's your job.
But it's everything all together. It's everything. I want to be known as. There's layers to it. It's not just one thing. It's not just like, you want to be able to be well-rounded. It's that I want to be known as somebody that was good at what they did in their hobbies. You know, I like to make music. I like to fish on my free time. I like to be known as someone that did that.
Now you're getting into the character.
Did that well.
Now you're getting into the character.
I like to know that when I come home, am I a good person to my family?
Right. Do you think that when you were at that IPCP or the trade show, for those out there, Carlito had this whole following?
Mm-hmm.
It's good for business.
It's great for business.
You think he kept up with all those people? No.
He knew some of them, obviously, you know, but
was that the core? Is that important to him?
Maybe.
Success. I think success, yes, to have that following, but it all was because of, I'd like to think that it was because he is successful and he is growing his family business, which is what we see now. He's growing Arturo's family business. He's growing the legacy that he's carrying on.
But do you think that's something that,
I think the ego is pumped?
No. Not take ego aside. He's been able to make his mark in the industry. If you have a passion for something,
sure,
take it down to that. Don't. I mean, take the character out of it. If you have a passion for something,
mm-hmm.
whatever that is, don't you want to have a positive mark within what you're doing? That makes you you. Your passion is what makes you you.
It does. I go back to that character side of it. The passion is an extension of that. The industry you're in is an extension of that.
Sure.
But it stems back to the character of who you are on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a hard worker, if you care about people, that will be extended into the cigar industry, the music industry, all that stuff.
Sure. It doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
If you have a greatest hits album, no matter what you do. I'm not just music, but like
Right.
the metaphor of a greatest hits album
Right.
that everyone remembers. Cool. But it's about what you prioritize and value most. And I think it's about the character of what got you to that point. Because if you have a greatest hits album, but you also hated yourself, you let all your personal relationships go to shit.
Yeah.
There's no quality of life there.
No, of course not.
No. But it's what's important to you.
It's
Not you. I'm
right. Yeah, just
to oneself.
general.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not. For those of us, I'm not
It's
dialing into.
this is, yeah.
Like Ryan, we need to talk. That's not what I'm saying right now.
But this is. I mean, I agree with you. It's what's important in your life. I mean, I think that's what it boils down to. Like, there's no right or wrong answer to a topic like this. And
Certainly not.
That's the beautiful part.
Absolutely.
It's, there's no right or wrong answer. It's what you want. And, do you want to be the best you can be for anybody else? No, it's you want to be the best you can be for yourself.
To the person that came up with this topic,
mm-hmm.
what do you want to be remembered for? That can be a driving force.
Sure. Take
reputation, take legacy, take all the names out of it, or the definitions, the terms. But that's a solid question.
Yeah. I agree.
When you're having a good day, when you're having a bad day, whatever it might be, this is a constant. This should be a checkpoint for you, daily, weekly, monthly, whatever it might be. However, because life comes at you really, really fast, right? So sometimes it's monthly. It shouldn't be annually. I think it should be more frequent than that. But it's something that I think that you need to look at is like what life are you living?
Sure.
Danny wants to say something. Is he live?
He is.
So, when it comes to my legacy, the only thing I care about is how my children perceive me. Everything else falls flat. I have 5 children.
Damn.
And 4 of them are from a previous marriage. They're my stepchildren.
That's awesome.
I love them the same.
Absolutely.
And all I care about is that they know, or that they see me as a man who is always there for them,
yep.
who is always doing what he could for them.
Yep.
And to make their life easier, to do whatever I could to help them throughout life. That's
yep.
the only thing that I care about in a legacy. I have one daughter that's mine that I didn't meet till she was 17.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to grow that legacy with her.
That's incredible.
So that's the only thing that's important to me. So, like you said, you guys don't have children, so
that's right.
You can't.
We don't have that. Yeah,
you can't relate to that.
We don't have
per se.
You're right.
But
I have a dog.
Yeah,
I've got 2 dogs.
Handsome and pretty.
He's awesome.
Legacy
Tony is
that to me that is the ultimate legacy right there.
You're absolutely
right. Having your children just respect you and know that you were there for them.
Yep.
Why do you feel that's the ultimate legacy? How did that thinking come to be?
We're talking about propagation and of your legacy throughout, past you, beyond you.
Bingo.
They're the ones that are going to take that
legacy right there.
They're going to take that, hopefully, and pass it on to their kids. And pass it on to their kids, and
positive or negative, they're going to.
Yeah,
exactly.
There it is.
Exactly.
That's
the true I want it to be a positive legacy with my children. That's why.
It takes a lot, though, doesn't it?
It does.
It takes you have to work hard.
Yeah.
You have to come home when you're tired as can be, and you have to be a good dad. Even though sometimes it might be easier to just go sit out in the garage and smoke a cigar and completely just negate everything that's going inside. You got to work your ass off.
Yeah.
There's multiple levels that you have to do. You have to work your ass off at work.
Right.
Just to keep that position or whatever you do.
Can I add to that? Whether it's your children or people around you or your significant other, that impact is still very real.
It is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
That's
God, we got a lot of good comments and some fun comments. But I will say now's the time for part 2. And Ryan, thanks for bringing people into your Instagram live. Hope they enjoyed it as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so Ryan D. Newman on Instagram, Royale Cigar Lounge.
Correct.
If you guys are in the Columbus area, first check out Tinderbox at Easton.
Always.
Because that's where Ryan started. And then
Make your way over at the end of the evening.
yeah, we'll figure it out.
At the end of the evening. You
Yeah.
still need to come out.
I'm planning on Friday.
This Friday?
Yeah, I'll be out there. Is that okay?
My boy.
Do you have room?
Yeah, I think so.
I'll sit outside. I'll sit in my car. I'll buy a cigar. I'll smoke in the parking lot. I'll post a live video. Ryan didn't have room in the end.
No, I'll have room for you always.
Oh, no. But yeah, so I want to do closing remarks. But before we do that, I do want to thank, pull them up here, all of our banners. Patreon.com/BourbonBS podcast. You guys are amazing. Check that out. It's really easy. You can do a monthly thing. You can do a one-time thing and cancel it. But we are working on getting some more swag to you guys. And I appreciate your patience and your support. This is something we do on the side, but it is like to Ryan's point is if this got big, yeah, I can't handle it by myself. Nate's been a big help and Dustin's been a big help, and the support from guests and friends like Ryan. Huge help. So all you guys are amazing. Also, Tinderbox at Easton, Altadis USA, and BS Cigar Company. I hope you guys enjoyed your Wednesday night with us. But now we get into the closing remarks, and I kind of want to start with Nate.
Yeah, I want that.
He's been writing a lot, and he hasn't said a whole lot. And I'd say I feel bad for getting you back on track and answering my question earlier, but I don't.
Yeah.
Not surprised by that.
Lucas Merch is a new room for Steve.
No room for Steve.
Probably talking about place. But that's not the case.
I don't know, Ryan. If you look at the screen, like
I
Ryan's
said
like
Royale. Yeah,
Ryan's.
I'll be in the parking lot.
No, man. That's all right.
Well, if you're over at Royale, just drive 10 minutes up to my house, and
Where you at?
I'm in Hilliard
That's right.
So he's really close to you. How many times has he visited you?
twice.
3 times, actually.
Oh, has it been that many?
Yeah.
I literally told someone, I was like, have you been out to Royale? I was like, once when it was a shutdown.
And then we had a really good event there.
And then there was a industry event.
That was fun. I had a
was
lot of
that.
fun with that. We need to do that again. We were talking about that.
Someone's asked me about how it was over there. I was like, I know it's great. I've heard it from other people. I've heard it from Ryan. It's an amazing lounge.
From who?
Several people.
It's really nice.
No, I've said it's an incredible lounge. I said I live in a bubble. I'm about like a 60-year-old woman.
You got
I got a
5
grandma.
mile radius
I drive a
on you.
Cadillac. All
It
right,
doesn't matter. Does not matter.
keep the miles down. Good for resale value.
That's true, but need to
Friday.
get the CT6.
That's what you want me to get.
I do.
All right, Nate. Closing remarks before I buy another car. Huh?
So
You need some more juice.
Yeah, more juice. Just drink out of the bottle at this point.
sorry. All right.
It's a good year.
Talking about legacy, I already talked about the poem I wrote about what's in a name. You know, the legacy that came before you, the legacy you leave behind. One of the challenges that I would issue to people, and I say this because I've experienced it in my life, is having a living legacy. So when we've talked about legacy, you know, from the definitions that Dustin brought up or throughout the conversation, we've always talked about legacy as, you know, what you leave behind when you're gone. You know, the impact you have on people once you're no longer there. But I think a real challenge is to have a living legacy, to have a legacy while you're still alive.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because there are people and have been people in my life that while they were still alive had an impact on me. The two examples that immediately come to my mind are my father and my stepfather. They had different impacts on me while they were alive. My dad is still alive. My stepfather passed last year. But before my stepfather passed, I told him the impact he's had on me and my life. That was not the impact he had on my life. It didn't wait until after he was gone before his life impacted me. His life impacted me while he was still alive and for many years. So a legacy doesn't have to be something that comes after you. It can be something that comes from you while you're still here.
That's right.
And I think that can have a bigger impact on people than a reputation. When we talk about reputation, a reputation is just what people think of you. But a legacy is how you impact other people.
Yes.
And so that's why I think, having a legacy means more than a reputation, but don't wait for that legacy to be after you're gone. Have it be now.
That's right.
Because everyone here at the table has a legacy that they're living right now.
That's right.
And
that's it.
Because you guys impact people on a regular basis now while you're still here.
That's it.
Sometimes because of the way our culture is, it may take just one screw up to ruin that legacy. Hopefully it's not the kind of screw up that has generational impacts. Because I do know people that came from a legacy of success and completely screwed it up for the next generation.
Yeah.
And so one person can tarnish a legacy. Hopefully you don't do anything so drastic that you have that kind of impact. Hopefully you're improving the legacy as it goes down through the generations.
Hopefully you have that awareness.
Hopefully, but the people I know that have had that kind of negative impact, they never thought about it. They never thought about what they were doing and how it would impact those around them and those that came after them.
In college, I had a lot of friends that were daddy's kids. So that's what I'm thinking of when you're saying that. And it's, if my 40-year-old self could talk to my 17, 18-year-old self freshman year in the dorm and be like, all right, I get what you're saying, but there's also going to be this thing where it's always been a thing, but it'll be on social media. It's like, do you know who my father is? Don't live your life like that, bro. Or girl. Like, just don't. Like,
do it yourself.
Yeah. I don't know who your father is because I don't. It doesn't matter. You've been given this opportunity. What are you going to do?
Well, and I'll say this, Steve, because this came up to my mind, and I hope you don't take it this way. And this is rhetorical, by the way. You do not need to answer this question.
Probably will, but go ahead.
No, it's just something that I thought of while we were talking about this in part 2. Your father has passed.
I can't disagree with that.
Your father.
Facts.
Your father left a legacy. Would you agree that your father left a legacy?
Yeah. I think everyone that passes leaves a legacy. That's what I was trying to allude to earlier, is that no matter if it's positive, negative, or somewhere in between, it's you leave a legacy. You have that layers that we were talking about that you're going to impact that.
And the thing we all have to think about internally is, how does that legacy impact the ones that we leave for the next generation?
I think that's the topic at hand.
There it is.
Ryan, closing remarks. And to Bobby Hirschman out there, we'd love to have this conversation in person. We are going to do a special Thursday night podcast when Bobby Hirschman is in town in mid to late September. He's coming back in. He's big on the community page. He's from Philly.
Yeah.
You know him.
Bobby Hirschman.
You want to be here for that night?
I'll make it happen.
There you go.
I'll make it happen. That'll be a fun night.
Might have to like post a camera up in the corner.
I know this is like
and just
really
get the
off
whole
topic.
audience.
This is really, really off topic.
I need more microphones.
How long has Bobby Hirschman been a part of the community?
A year and a half, at least.
How many times have you met him? Like,
Once.
That's awesome.
And it'll be twice. He's already scheduled his next trip.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
that's pretty.
It's
that's
huge.
pretty cool.
It's been a lot of fun.
That's
well,
very
think
cool.
think about the
That's cool.
Think about the legacy Bobby Hirschman had after his first visit, because then he
That's
posted
a
on the,
reputation.
because
first of all.
Yeah.
I don't know, because then he posted on the community page like, "Hey, I'm going to be back in town in September." There are some
Yep.
people that are like, "Awesome, can't wait to hang out with you again." Then there are some other people that are like, "I'm going to schedule something else."
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Nook says he's back in town next week. We have a guest next Wednesday, and you guys aren't going to want to miss that one.
I think.
Ooh,
But
Who's the guest next Wednesday?
you'll just have to tune in.
you know this guest.
Oh yeah, you're gonna want. Yeah, absolutely. That'd be a good episode.
You're going to want to tune in. Right. If you're not working, you're going to have to work, aren't you?
Yeah, this is a rarity for me, ladies and gentlemen.
I appreciate that.
This is amazing though. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else on a Wednesday night.
It's amazing. If you can be here, you should.
There it is.
All right. So closing remarks, Ryan. Let's stay on point here.
Yeah, let's just keep it to what we were discussing. I mean, I think you're right. I think to the point where we were, talking about if, everyone's legacy is different. It's all relevant to what you're doing now. What do you want to be remembered for? I think it's just an overall, whoever met me can say that, he's just a good person. He just enjoys life. He tries to live life to the fullest.
You?
Yes. Every day.
All right.
Every single day.
I'm letting you do closing remarks. We're not going to get into dialogue here.
No. Thank you. And that's just one thing where,
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah. I appreciate the community that I've met through a hobby, because those people have become lifelong friends. That is my family.
So those of you who don't know, is Ryan was not a cigar smoker at first.
Nope.
What was the?
Well, I mean, I did it. I did it.
No, what'd you come in the tinderbox buying every time on your breaks?
Oh,
Parliaments?
P-Plugs. Those are great.
Yeah. So his first cigar was a Parliament Light.
Look where it got me.
And here we are.
Here we are. You're right.
I'm just saying you gotta start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere. No, I
don't mean to call you out, but it's fun to see that.
It is fun
as
to see
a
that.
friend, someone that's known you for
Over 10 plus
let's call it
years.
a decade.
Let's call it a decade. I've known you.
When-
That's a long.
Steve,
long-
earlier when you called
long
Ryan
time.
out to see if he could guess what the wrapper and stuff was, it actually made me think about
It wasn't paper. It wasn't a filter.
no, it made me think about the first time Ryan was on 3 years ago.
We'll get back to your closing remarks. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
It was around 3 years ago when he was on for July 4th.
Yeah.
And we were smoking the CAO America.
That's right.
And you asked Ryan, you're like, "All right, Ryan, this is a 5-country blend. Start naming the tobacco in
Nailed
this."
it.
Because Ryan, when he was at the tinderbox, had this reputation that he could just rattle off the blends in cigars.
I'm so jealous.
He just memorized stuff like
I'm
that.
so jealous.
It's a weird
But no, what I remember about that was Steve asked you, and the first thing that you mentioned, wrong. And we busted your balls for that. But then you got some right too. So
Thanks. No, I mean, I'm very, very thankful for those that I've met. And I feel like, 27 and, I've got my whole life ahead of me. That's what I'm thankful for that.
You should be.
I'm thankful. I was in a not so great situation, and fast forward to, let's call it a decade later, and life is everything I want it to be. It's living to my fullest ability, and I'm happy for that. And if it wasn't for the people around me, then it would never have gotten to that point. My legacy is to keep doing what I'm doing, keep growing in the industry that I want to grow in, and keep making the people that I have surrounded myself with proud.
Well, I think that speaks.
No. Finish.
That's something that, no matter what I do, what career path I choose, those people will support me.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It is.
I think that's what it's about. Finding your path, finding the ones that really matter, that will grow along the way, and live your life to the fullest. And anyone else, it doesn't matter. Like, that's it.
Yeah, people that met you, like Ray, years ago, he has this image of you, and then he sees you on this, and he's blown away by it. The growth. If I may,
sure,
I'll get into my closing remarks, but take it from a different angle, is that you don't know, as someone, I'll take you, Ryan, personally, a guy like Ray Cheshire, who you know, that you haven't seen in a long time, you haven't interacted with in a long time.
Correct.
When he knew you, it was several years back. He's made comments about this. What I love about this is that when he checks in, sees you now, a guy like Ray doesn't realize the impact that he may have had on you. This is the other angle of the topic.
There it is.
The way you live your life, it's not always about you. But I'll use this in my closing remarks, because I had some other closing remarks, but I'm listening to you guys. I'm watching Ray's comments. I'm watching all this unfold tonight. This is a better example of my closing remarks. We have a guy, Ray, who is double your age, Ryan. And Ryan, thank you for bringing the whiskey. Thank you for bringing the cigars. It's tremendous. But you got a guy like Ray Cheshire out there that's halfway across the world right now.
Yeah.
Similar viewpoints, different viewpoints on certain things. But he is still someone that tunes in through the community. So again, impacting each other through regular touch-ins. He sees you. And from his viewpoint, and take this in, everyone, from his viewpoint, you're not the kid that he remembers. You're not the person, not the kid or man that was trying to make everyone happy.
That's right.
Now you're making people happy that are important to you. You're living your life. You're growing up. You're doing all this stuff. It's probably in my opinion, that's a better example of the other side of this, of living your life. Do you look up to Ray?
Absolutely. 100%.
That's the goal.
Correct.
That's the goal. When we're talking about this, is that someone that reconnects with you, if you can look at them as someone that has impacted your life to make you a better person, that is the legacy. That is the trickle effect. That's the infinite side of this, is that you do that to someone else. You don't even realize it until you revisit that. And I'll encourage you, the person that's in that relationship, right? So you got a Ryan, you got a Ray, you have a Ray. As that Ray, as the person that is further in life that may or may not have been a mentor actively, but you don't know, check in again. See where they're at.
Yep.
Are they still alive?
Yeah.
It's not always the small circle, but as that small circle grows, if you're on that giving end, you don't know that you're giving until you realize the other person is receiving. So that's my closing remarks is that whether you're on the receiving end or the giving end, you're going to be on somewhere in that spectrum every day that you wake up. So all these comments on there, I love them about, does anyone actually live their life they're going to like leave a legacy? Maybe you should. Because you will impact people that you don't even know. So when you're having a bad day, suck it up. For yourself first, it's always build yourself up, and then the circles around you will build up around you. But the greatest gift, in my opinion, is that when you look back, when life has progressed, and you look back and you look at that person that you may not have even thought about for years. Your biggest compliment, it's not the legacy, not having your name up on a building, but when you touch base with that person you may not have talked to for years, and they give you a compliment that, I don't know if you know this, but the words you said to me or the way you lived your life, it really impacted me, and I'm the person that I am because of you. That's your motivation of making tomorrow, Thursday, the next best day of your life that builds to more and more and more.
Yep.
For yourself first, but again, got that trickle effect. Legacy.
I agree.
Guys, cheers. Happy Whiskey Wednesday. That's a great app. Apple.
That's all I got.
It's apple brandy. Cheers, guys. Everyone out there, cheers. Thank you very much. Had a great time tonight. Ryan, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. As always.
See you guys next week. I will promote it. You guys will not be disappointed. We'll have a great episode next week, as always.